the 29th of June 2021. Tarehe ni 29 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2021. Natumai kwamba uko salama, mamka vizuri. This is a Tackle State of the Nation edition. Coming to you on Tuesday where I get to talk about the issues that are happening in the nation, the state of the nation, uchumi, mambo ya siasa, mambo mingi ambayo yanaendelea kwenye nchi. This is the State of the Nation edition of 29th June 2021. As usual, I request that when you join in, please like. When you like, I get to know that you are watching us. And what you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wide the broadcast. This is a tackle and it begins now. Lakini kama kawaida lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe alafu kirudi. Basi nakuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity that we are live this morning. We thank you for this program. As we start off with us, even the tacklers, may you meet them at the point of individual needs. In mighty name, in Jesus' mighty name, I pray and believe. Amen and amen. Haya. Naona salamu zimeamka mapema sana. State of the Nation 0779, State of the Nation 0779 800 010 0779 800 010. State of the Nation 0779 800 010. State of the Nation 0779 800 010. State of the Nation 0779 800 010. Unaweza piga simu State of the Nation 0779 800 010. Tuko na Alex Matere, mheshimiwa wa Trans Nzoia, bana nataka kwa seneta pale. Kuna siku alikuwa amekanganyana na number 2 kwa Bomas of Kenya. Akasema wheelbarrow 16th century machine. Pia tuko na Sandrah ambaye ni mwanasiasa pia na political analyst kutoka pale PEP na Asla Nation kanzima. Na huyu jamaa yangu hapa ni mtu akieleweke, anasema die and die, rangi die on hull. Okay. Sawa, State of the Nation. Tutakuja kuangalia mambo ambayo yanaendelea kwenye nchi. We have a conversation together and we get to see how well we can shape this conversation. Gagi Faith, good morning to you. Saklin Masai, good morning Waku, gotea your panel, asante sana. Ashley Bright, good morning to you. Agnes Limo, good morning, I'm back. Asante sana Agnes, good to see you. Don Maverick, good morning, watching live from the CBD. Thank you, good to see you. Naona Kiblaga Trotich, good morning. Aisa Gaza, Safi, asante sana. Naona Marsho Ismalu, good morning to Tackle, good morning to you, my brother, good to see you. Como Sindet Kibet, asama tuned in from Rongai, asante. Moses Kotut, good morning Gerald. When is the Kiamba Showdown? Kiamba Showdown, I think ni tarehe 17 mwezi wa 7 ama 15. 15th July 2021 ndio Kiamba Showdown. Tajua nini endelea pale Kiamba. Vikimo, good morning good people. Ask Alex Matere, why did he let us down during BBI launch at Bomas of Kenya? Ama alilipwa. Sijui mlikuwa mnaexpect aseme nini? Sijui aliwa let down vipi, atatuambia. Jacinta, good morning to you. Tim Barno, good morning to my brother. Agamaliel Babaya, good morning. GB watching from Karen. Asante. Joel Rama, Chairman Diaspora Edition, good morning. Asajini Ason Salimia Sandra Kimani, tell her that we are proud of her in Asla Nation. Rose Liala, Lady Tosha Rosie from Tarbo, good morning. Bitok already tuned in from for the biggest show. Asante sana Rose Liala. It's good to see you. Alona Serem, good morning all the way from Diaspora. Good to see you, my brother. Shadrach Chir, anasema good morning. So good morning to you. Honorable EK Kurgat, tuned in from Eldoret. Asante. Mungalita continue. Good morning, Team Tackle, tuned in from Coventry, United Kingdom. Looking forward to this morning State of the Nation edition this morning. Sure. Asante sana ndugu yangu, good to see you. Rodriguez Biegon, good morning from Chepkumia, Nandi County. Jubilee Barrio will be on Kiambaa soon. BBI will fail prematurely. Haya. Mimi sio judge, kwa hivyo sasa sijui kama itazama ama itarudi. Ajel Ramasama, leo umevalia Jubilee colors. Haya, ala. Okay. Moses Kamo Bishop, and morning GB, good morning to you. Alex Mahera from 034 Kitengala tuned in tuangazie uchumi pia. Asante sana ndugu yangu all the way from Club 034. Salimia watu hapo Kinangia Teach. Honorable Mbogo wa Shiko, Bitok salimia Sandra sana watching from Dubai. Asante Lakoske, good morning from Kajiado. Ernest Koech, good morning. Shout out Chichi live from Kiambu. Rose Liala, Lidosha Rosie Tarbo, Azama, you look good in red. Asante sana. Charles Rians, Azama watching from County 032. Lagat Kibrono Dixon, good morning. Gerard watching from Nyali Mombasa. Asante sana to Mombasa. Lucy K Washira, good morning. Kwani uko na oma ama ni baridi? Niko na mafua kidogo lakini nitakuwa safi. Ndio tusaidiane kuombeana. Cosmas Kerich, good morning Nandi Ndani from Nairobi. Asante Jeremiah Rotich, morning tuned in from Doha. Moses Kijeptumo, Gogo Sandra Billion Aslan Nation Lady. Johnson Kipkering Sang, good morning watching live from Midhuri Kiambu. Moses kama anasema hii kanairo yenu aina nini? Aina shangwe. I think I should go back to Sisibo. Alafu nimepewa badges. Aya. Congratulations kwanza kwa baji yako ya top fan. Alafu karibu na tafuta tukunywa kahawa. La Koske amesambia Mbuyu kijana Marete hakikisha amesaidika kwa hii serikali ya kunyanyasa raia, sababu 2022 Aslas wataingia na atashindwa. Hawezi jua, labda anaweza geuka. Unajua siasa sasa hizi transfer window imefunguka. Washira wa Mwema anatoka Mwani Gerald Bitok Sandra Kimani, huyo mwingine aende salamu zake ndugu. Haya, acha ma feelings. Sasa itaki ma feelings mingi sana. Anyway, good to see you Alex Matere. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana, nashukuru. I'm deeply honored and profoundly grateful for having this opportunity, and I look forward to a bold, credible and informed discussion. Yeah.
This is your first time as well on the tackle.
Yes.
So maybe you can introduce yourself to these Kenyans.
Okay. Good morning, Kenyans. My name is Alex Matere. I come from Trans Nzoia County. I'm a graduate of the University of Nairobi, Public Policy and Political Science, and a master's in Public Policy and Administration from Kenyatta University.
Okay.
Yes.
Alright. Sawa, uko Trans Nzoia.
Kijana wa Kenya. Kijana wa Kenya, sauti ya wanyonge. Aswa kuhusiana na mambo ya vijana.
Okay.
Na kereketwa zote ambazo zinazunguka na siasa ya Kenya. Yeah.
Alright, good to see you. Sandra Joki.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
Good to be here once again. Thank you.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Habari ya wiki?
Wiki imekuwa nzuri. We are busy on the ground in Kiambaa.
Kiambaa inasemaje?
Kiambaa, the situation is still the same as it was when I was last here. It's predominant.
It has not changed.
It has not changed.
For better, for worse? Nothing.
It has changed for the better. We are still UDA, the Hustler Nation Coalition. It's still Kawanjiko. It's so great that they're even pulling down our billboards. We love it. We want them to pull down more, because then that shows that our impact is very painful to them.
Okay.
So yeah, Kiambaa is good and I'm fine as things go.
Okay. What is the state of the nation? Kabla sijarudi kuuliza Matere habari ya Kiambaa, sijui kama ameenda. What's the state of the nation?
Well, you know, Gerald, when you ask me about the state of the nation, I think it's a pretty broad question, because you're basically asking me to comment about the economy, the political climate.
Exactly.
Probably we can say that the state of the nation has been is as bad as it has been since 2020. The economy is not doing very well. In fact, it's not doing well at all. The political climate is still very volatile. And when I say volatile, I go back to the point where we have the deep state pulling down our billboards for the by-election at Kiambaa. That already tells you that there's a lot of political intolerance. And so basically, the country is not where it was envisioned to be at this point in time.
Okay.
Remember, we were on the 9th year of President Uhuru Kenyatta's reign, and he had promised us a lot, especially under the Big Four agenda. And if we are to use that as a scorecard, then obviously the state of the nation is bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, have you been to Kiambaa?
I haven't been there, but definitely being a political animal, I have friends who have been there.
Okay.
And I also have comrades who are working day and night just to ensure that Jubilee has a chance in the upcoming by-election.
Okay.
So in as far as first the state of the nation is concerned, I think it will be apt for me first to congratulate the Ministry of Sports and also the entire government for the excellent preparation and showcasing of the Safari Rally. I was just reading this morning that the viewership of that rally was 848 million people across the world. So this is really, really massive, and it's a chance for us actually to showcase Kenya and what it has to offer to the entire world.
Okay.
And I think that tourism being one of the key sectors that generate us foreign income also had a chance to just create impotence and also advertise to the entire world of what Kenya has to offer in terms of the Safari Rally, in terms of the people, the culture that the Kenyan people have, and also in terms of the wildlife that was present in all those venues and the circuit that the Safari Rally was passing through. That said and done, in as far as Kiambaa is concerned, definitely we have seen that there has been conflicting information, especially when it comes to campaign materials, and you've heard Sandra mention that billboards are being pulled down. I think these are just works of people who are not concerned on promoting democracy, and such things actually should be condemned. I think it's high time, if we have learned from what has happened in 2007 and 2013, let everyone be given an opportunity. Wacha ikuwe mambo ya sera, isikuwe ya kwamba mtu mwingine akisimama kuongea, you have now to shout him down, or if they want now to showcase themselves to the electorate, that you have to pull down their campaign materials. Yes, we understand UDA has a candidate, Jubilee also has a candidate. Let it be an equal platform for every candidate to showcase what they have in terms of the vision, in terms of their aspirations, and in terms of the agenda and the manifesto that they have for the people of Kiambaa. And I think going forward, let it be used as a yardstick to measure what we want to have in 2022 in terms of the elections that we expected to have in the country. That said, Chinua Achebe says that let the hawk perch and also let the eagle perch. And whichever says no to the other, let the wings break. I expect a plain ground, let people compete in terms of ideology, in terms of the vision, so that the people of Kiambaa can get the leaders that they deserve.
Okay. So how do you think, what do you think things are looking like there?
Talk about me, just interject. You know, one of the things that has just been mentioned is the Safari Rally. And I have been one of the most vocal, I think, should I use the word, critics of the Safari Rally.
Why?
And today, you know, Alex could probably try to convert me and many other Kenyans by not giving us, you know, just a general brief of the beauty of Safari Rally, showcasing Kenya, seeing the wildlife, 800 whatever million or something like that global viewers. You know, to Kenyans, what we want to know is the facts and the figures. What impact has the Safari Rally had on our economy? Give us the figures. How has it affected, or how has it had, even if it's a short-term impact, on the residents of Naivasha? And what are the long-term expectations by the government? Because remember, the government came out as the promoter of this Safari Rally. It did a lot of advertising, billboards, mainstream media. It got well, people use the term loosely, bloggers, but you know, we all know what bloggers are. They so it got all these people to go online and sing to us for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks about the Safari Rally. But we have not been given the tangible output on Wanjiko, whether it is in Naivasha or generally on high economy, by this Safari Rally. Now, I'm sure, I'm just hoping Alex will make things different, because I asked that question on my Facebook platform, and one particular pro-government, I don't know whether to call her a blogger, came and said that, you know, the Safari Rally will have a 6 billion Kenya shilling 6 billion impact, positive impact on our economy for those days. And I told her, do you know what? If that's the case, then we need to have the Safari Rally happening every 3 months or so in Naivasha. Because with 6 billion every 3 months or so, I don't think we'd need the Chinese loans. So we need to know, we need to understand what impact did this Safari Rally have on the economy? What has it brought to us? You know, if you tell us that it was showcased in Kenya, listen, Kenya has been showcased for many years. And I don't think the Safari Rally is what is going to trigger.
But what were your expectations, Sandra? What were you expecting from that?
I was not expecting to have a Safari Rally to begin with. And because it is not my project, and because it is not something that I support, that is why I'm throwing the ball back to those people who celebrated it. He mentioned the Safari Rally as one of the key elements of describing the state of the nation today. Let Alex tell us, what was the economic impact on the Safari Rally on our GDP? How has it impacted Wanjiko in Naivasha? What can we expect by telling us it showcased Kenya? So,
okay, Alex, very quickly.
Yeah, now I'm on the spot about issues of the sports just because I mentioned it. And I've now pushed on the wall to defend it. But in as far as I'm concerned, first, the figures are not yet out, because it's something that has to be scientific. And being a scientist, I depend on data that is verifiable and is dependable. for analysis. That said, it's also important for Sandra to realize that just apart from showcasing the country in terms of the tourism and in terms of what it has to offer, there's also direct impact to even what you call now the Wanjiku economy, to the hustlers. We have the hotel industry in Naivasha, in Nakuru. All the hotels, mostly like 99%, had guests. This is actually direct flow into the economy. And when visitors come in such a place like Naivasha, definitely you expect also for them to have food. And that goes also to the farmers, that they have to supply food to those hotels. They have to supply meat to those hotels. And also the entertainment industry. There was a lot of entertainment there. We had our artists performing. We had our DJs there. We had our event planners there. So there's direct impact to that particular person down there in Mashinani. Secondly, in as far as the GDP is concerned, then you also have to realize that we also had sponsorship from multinational companies. We had Shell that was sponsoring. We also had multinational companies that are in automobile industry. We had Ford, we had Toyota that actually won the race, we had Subaru, and it just gives impetus to the economy in terms of even the manufacturing aspect that we keep on pushing for in this country. This sponsorship, when it comes here, it does not just necessarily mean that the Safari Rally happens in 2-3 days and it ends there. It means that even the automobile industry, now we have to have a totally different look for that. For instance, in Kenya, we never used to have the Yaris version of Vitz. But now that Ogia won using that particular vehicle, definitely you will see the influx of those particular vehicles in the country, because most guys now will start being attracted to that particular vehicle as one of the ways in just promoting our economy. That said, also the aspect that we had our local companies themselves showcasing and also sponsoring some of these events. We had Kenya Airways that came in strongly. We had Cabras that came in strongly. We had Safaricom that came in very, very strongly. It's actually a plus for us, and in terms of the expansion and in terms of the expansion and extension of their services, I think it gives a good indication of what they want to be. Safaricom now has moved to Ethiopia. What is the implication of that? If we have companies that are actually formed in Kenya extending to across Africa and probably across the world, then probably it's a plus for Kenya. Just the way we are very proud that M-Pesa mobile money transfers was actually originated from Kenya, and it goes across the globe. It's something that we have to be proud of, and I think it's high time that as patriots we need to be proud of Kenya, and we need to be proud of what we were able to showcase to the entire world, rather than criticizing something that was good.
All right. Yesterday also there's a report by Musalendo that came out. 31 members of parliament and the Senate who have never even said aye in the House. And there's also a paradox to that the guys who have never spoken are some walking on the ground. And you keep wondering, what is the relationship between the two? Okay, there are some of those, of course, who have not spoken and they're not on the ground. I don't know what you have to make of that, Sandra.
Okay, before we go to the 31 members of parliament, I'd like to correct Alex. There are no manufacturing that have spurred from Safari Rally. Tourism has been a problem for the last 10 to 15 years in Kenya. The Safari Rally will not solve that. The issues that he mentioned about the hotels and the supply by farmers, those are called short-term benefits. They're very temporary. Those are just auxiliary services that were needed for that time. So he has basically not answered my question, because this thing was really put out there by government. I expected something a little bit more comprehensive. He talks about he cannot give the figures. When government goes in to use public funds to sponsor or to promote a project, usually they are what we call projections. And those are the projections I expected to hear, that this thing would have this impact on the GDP, it would have this impact on the economy, it would have X value to Wanjiku in Naivasha, it would blah, blah, blah. But moving forward very quickly to the issue of the MPs, it's very true that there are MPs who do not talk much in parliament, but they have a very big impact in their constituencies. And one of the people I can tell you who's probably listed as not talking much in parliament is someone like Honorable Oscar Sudi. But if you go to his constituencies, the development projects that he has initiated and conceptualized are great and vast. I know someone will want to say, oh, Oscar Sudi talks a lot. He does not. He talks out there in the rallies. But in parliament, hata he said it the other day, kuna watu wanaingia parliament kizungu mingi, lakini kwa ground hakuna kazi. So, yes, I guess for parliamentarians, there are various ways that you could assess them. Yeah, you would want to assess those who are instrumental in providing us with legislation that has an impact on Wanjiko, and then there are those who we can say more or less concentrate on their core mandate, which is to develop their constituencies. And even now, when we talk about parliament, we also talk about senators. So we talk about counties. But then there are those who those parliamentarians who are there, I think they're there just by luck. We've got, for example, the senator of Baringo, and the only thing Senator Gideon Moi is known for, and it's a joke, but which for him he should not find it funny or flattering, is that he's only known for saying I vote yes. See, and I have been to Baringo County. There's a time I was working with a certain organization, and I was a regional sales manager, and one of my turfs was all the way up through to Baringo, all the way up to the Kenya-Uganda border. And on many occasions I went through Baringo, and it's a really backward place. And having been a senator there, he should have been the loudest guy in parliament, pushing for all sorts of legislations to improve on especially security, water supply to his area. I mean, it's so when the national joke on you is that all you do is stand and say I vote yes, you should be actually quite embarrassed with yourself. And then you find that it's the same guy now who's being touted to be part of the next generation of national leaders. So yes, there are those who are quiet, but they produce on the ground, and there are those who are loud and they produce nothing, and then even no legislation. But there are those who are also loud in parliament, and they produce very solid legislation that has helped us in the country.
Okay, Alex Matere, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I also read that report, the Mzalendo report, and I think it's a good yardstick that we have to use to just measure the performance of the members of parliament in terms of their contributions at the plenary sessions of parliament. On the flip side also, there's this aspect that in as far as we measure the contribution during the plenary, most of the work of parliament is actually done at the committee stage. And therefore, I think it's high time that we urge the Parliamentary Service Commission to consider having live broadcast of the committee sittings, so that we can actually see the kind of content, the kind of quality, and the kind of contributions that members of parliament have, or rather make, during the committee meetings. That said, I just want also to contradict what Sandra has said, because the core mandate of a parliamentarian, it is not development.
Okay.
As per the constitution that we have in 2010 constitution, the core mandate of a parliamentarian, one is oversight, the other one is legislation. Okay. So I think we miss the point by saying that we expect members of parliament to be down there in Mashinani to oversee development projects. And they actually went round and circumlocuted over the issues of CDF, and they actually had themselves co-opted as patrons of those CDF committees, which is actually basically not supposed to be the case. Okay. CDF is actually supposed to be managed by the community, by the constituents. If they can be able to come up and elect people that they represent them in that particular committee, then the people are actually supposed to be doing that work. Then we have parliamentarians oversight that. Okay. It's actually a contradiction, and I know it has actually even gone to court, where we have members of parliament who are supposed to oversight also being part and parcel of development from the executive. They're actually supposed to oversight, not being part and parcel of that development. Thirdly, as a young person, I think it's also a wake-up call for us in terms of the quality of leadership that we have in this country. Okay. If you have an MP who does not even raise a hand to speak a whole year, then it's something that we need to ask ourselves questions. If you do not have an MP who does not even understand the budget making process of Parliament, and yet it's part and parcel of his core mandate, then these are some of the tough questions that you're supposed to have. We are also actually supposed also to see what are the kinds of bills and motions that these members of Parliament have also been able to bring into force. In as far as we are also discussing about issues of corruption, it's part and parcel of the oversight that we want to see members of Parliament coming robustly, and also oversighting the government in terms of calling the responsible government agencies or government functionaries to come and answer to some of these cases and allegations that have been raised, so that the public can also have a clear platform where they can get direct information on what is really happening in terms of running government.
Okay. All right. Now,
We talk.
yes.
Allow me to interject again.
Okay. All right.
Well, Alex has told us that the core mandate of a member of parliament is to have legislate and oversight. Yeah. Alex, I don't know what you mean by oversight, because and you say that it's the constituents who have to manage the development agenda of their constituency. Now the question becomes, so me, Sandra, as a constituent of DIA, and I'm supposed to be the one of managing the projects that I want to happen in DIA. So how does that happen? Everyone Jiko in DIA is going to manage the projects that are supposed to come up through CDF. How does that happen? You know, that oversight statement should not be taken literally, that an MP's oversight role entails him going to the ground and proactively participating in ensuring that development projects in that area are manifested, and his job in parliament is actually now to engage the various government bodies through the various committees, and also putting up the various legislations that will make life better for his constituents down at his constituency. So if you tell me that you want an MP to just be primarily a legislator, then I'm left stuck, because if my MP in India, all he's going to do is unleash amazing laws and bills, but on the ground there's zero development. Schools are in shambles. We have seen pictures of some schools, matope, children learning from under trees, sitting on the floor. We've seen places like in Kirinyaga, where the hospital was in a pathetic state. It took our women rep, Wangui Ngirisi, to go there and expose it and have the county repair that, fix that situation. So if you tell me that you just want my MP or my woman rep or my senator to just sit in parliament and to just legislate and not go to the ground and proactively participate in, the development agenda of that constituency, then I think you'll be misleading the voters. Because when we go to vote, we're not going to vote so that Wangui Ngirisi can go and put up amazing bills. Or I'm not voting so that my MP can go and put up amazing bills. Yeah, the bills are great, like the bills that were put up by the Katondo South MP on tea and coffee and milk and all that. Those are amazing. But how do you think his constituents would be saying today if all they have to show is that their member of parliament is great in parliament, he produces amazing legislation, but kwa ground hakuna kitu? Okay. So an MP's role, the law is taken both in word and spirit. There is more to it than just oversight. That oversight means uende kwa ground na ufanye kazi and deliver the things that will make Wanjiko's life better.
All right.
Bitok, probably I just come in with a rejoinder. First, I think probably Sandra, I don't know if she understands the constitution of the CDF committee. It does not mean that when I say that the common mwananchi or the constituent in their particular constituencies have to directly participate in development projects. Okay. The constitution of the CDF committee is first give priority to the citizens so that they can elect their representatives to that particular committee. There is a man, there are women, there are people with disabilities who are actually members and who sit in that CDF committee. And that is a committee that is actually supposed to be in charge of development projects, identifying and actually supervising development projects at the constituency level. That said, one of the responsibilities of the MPs also include representation. It does not mean that in terms of development now, if he does not have a role and he has ceded that role to the CDF committee, that he does not represent his constituents in parliament. That basically is one of the responsibilities that he has to represent people in parliament, ensuring that their affairs, their aspirations, their issues, their challenges are addressed in parliament. Okay. And that said, also the aspect of oversight of government, I think it's very critical. Because, for instance, we have members of parliament who go in funerals, who go in social gatherings every weekend, complaining about the debt ceiling. And yet they are the same people who sit in parliament and pass some of these pieces of legislation. And therefore, we ask ourselves questions. Yes, you might be very good and in showcasing and giving the public optics about the developments that you are propagating in your constituency, but when you go to the social gathering, you don't want to be asked about issues of the debt ceiling. You don't want to be asked about the motions and the bills that we've been able to bring into parliament, and which I think we actually lose focus if we do not put our MPs into focus and just try and get the best out of them in terms of bills, in terms of motions, and in terms of also oversighting government in terms of the development projects and the government spending.
All right. Okay. Asante. I don't know if you guys are ready to rest that. No. But anyway, proceeding.
May I correct one thing?
Okay. Quickly.
It's a discussion. Alex has just mentioned something on debt ceiling, and he says that MPs do not, when they go to funerals, they do not want to be questioned about the debt ceiling. And my question would be, why would you be questioning an MP about the debt ceiling? I mean, it's government that is borrowing, and at some point we may want to accuse parliamentarians. But look, if CS Yatani goes to parliament and says, guys, I'm not able to pay your salaries, I'm not able to pay this. If I don't pay this, the country will stall to a halt. I need X amount of money, and there's no other way. I have to borrow. What are the MPs supposed to do? Okay. At some point, they are pushed to a corner, isn't it? And they will now agree to pass a bill that will up the debt. The debt limit, isn't it?
And we need them. Question then will be.
But then the question will be, coming back to his point, if that happens, why will you want to question the MP when all he did was allow the government to borrow more? Because this government was saying, I don't even have money to pay you. I don't even have money to give you CDF. I don't even have money to do 1, 2, 3 public health issues. I need money. So it's like your wife has come and she wants atuna hii kwa nyumba. We don't have unga. We don't have this. We don't have this. And you're sitting there, you're looking at your kids, they're hungry. If you do not do something, it's not going to be a very good night. It's not going to be a very good week. So what do? You go back to the shop and you borrow again. You tell the shopkeeper, listen, I know I have a bill of 3K here, but can you give me 1, 2, 3, 4 things? I mean, seriously, if an MP allows the government to borrow because the government claims that this is how we have spent money. In fact, there are very many expenditures that have not been explained. But the government is saying we'll stall if you do not allow me to borrow. Why will you ask a member of parliament to explain that? Ask government to explain it. Ask President Uhuru why he's always walking around with a kofia borrowing money with a borrowing ball. Some of these things, let's not deviate the responsibilities of government to our members of parliament. And the reason why someone like Alex would do that is because, there is this trend where we want to shield the president and his government from the responsibilities or taking responsibilities for the issues that are here in this country. So the high debt debt that we have, don't go asking your member of parliament. Even if you're asking him to go and ask government, Alex. Let's be patriotic and let's push the right questions to the right people. Okay. I'm not gonna go and ask Wangu Ngirishi, my woman rep, why are you guys borrowing? She's the one borrowing. She's not the one borrowing. It's the government that's borrowing.
Allow me to come in with a rejoinder, Bitok. First, Sandra, when she talks about government, she needs to understand that government also constitutes the judiciary, the executive and parliament.
Innuendos.
It does not mean that when you talk about government, you'd solely focus on the executive. Secondly, when I talked about the issues of oversight, when I introduced an issue of the borrowing and setting of the debt ceiling, yes, our debt portfolio is worrying, but you have also seen countries that have actually like triple their GDP in terms of borrowing. The countries like Japan with very big debt portfolios, and they have survived and they are very good in terms of the economy. My issue that I was trying to bring into focus is there oversight? Yes. Can we borrow this money? But do we ensure that the money, once it comes into this country, it is actually directed to the development projects and it does not end into people's pockets? That is one of the responsibilities of Parliament. And you remember during those days, and we missed those particular days, when you had the likes of Boni Khalwale, the bullfighter, coming in and saying Kimunya must go over corruption scandal in Laiko Regency. We had Kina Kiraitu Murungi. We had Kina Amos Wako, very robust in terms of discussion, very confident, very articulate, and also very focused in terms of defending the public coffers and ensuring that there's transparency and there's integrity in terms of the usage of the public of the public monies. And that is the kind of parliament that we want to have. We don't want to have a parliament where someone says that I do not want to contribute in parliament, but I rather go to a funeral and raise these issues. We want these people to come in the floor of parliament and raise these issues at that particular point. If it's about committees, let them summon the government representatives. If it's cabinet secretaries, if it's a head of parastatals, let them come and account to the public the kind of projects and the programs that they are doing in their respective departments, rather than addressing some of these challenges in funerals and social gatherings. That was my point.
All right. Haya, kabla tujaenda kwa siasa, today the BBI proceeding starts. Seven judge bench is sitting on the BBI appeal. I don't know what we should expect. What's your feeling?
Okay, on the BBI issue, but before I jump to the BBI issue, I'm like a dog with a bone. So one thing Alex has said, which I really, really love, but I hope he's going to take it to his masters when we finish here.
I don't have my masters. My masters are Wananchi.
Is that
the common Wananchi down there in Tanzania. That is my master.
Very well.
Yes.
But we know to whom you are playing to the gallery when you talked about the 16th century gadget. So please tell your 16th century masters that we totally agree with them and you on the issue of the parliament that we want. But unfortunately, Alex has forgotten that the parliament that we want has been hijacked by the executive. We saw President Uhuru use Thorax to make a couple of changes in various key committees in parliament. So we cannot have the parliament that we want when Alex is busy celebrating the executive unconstitutionally disrupting the makeup of parliament and therefore jeopardizing the effectiveness of parliament. He also said that he wants to see a parliament where CSs are summoned, PSs are summoned, and they come to explain issues. I just pray that he's going to go and send this message to CS Matiang'i, PS Kibisho, and all the others who have been summoned on several occasions and they refuse to attend parliament. I just needed to get that off my chest.
I'll be
Sandra, I think we talk. I have to give her a rejoinder.
No.
And just also a point of information to Sandra.
Let me finish something out on the chest.
Let me finish my BBI point.
Before you get to BBI, I don't want to lose my train of thought. Okay. First, in as far as Bombers is concerned, I'm only responsible for what I say. What you understand is actually your business. Secondly, in terms of democracy,
speaking on behalf of somebody, you are playing to the gallery for someone. And by the way,
I'm only responsible for what I say. Your understanding is your bit.
Okay.
Now, on the issues of democracy, and you've said that the executive has actually muzzled parliament. Democracy is about persuasion. It's not about muzzling. If these MPs feel that the executive is overbearing to them, they have a right of raising these issues at the floor of parliament. Okay. Then, you've also said that you've mentioned and name dropped that Matiang'i does not attend parliamentary sessions, that Kibicho is called and he does not appear. They do not appear during the plenary session. Probably you are tuning into KBC and you expect that they appear during the plenary session.
You don't want us to insult my intelligence. I'm talking about when they are summoned by a committee.
This was a rejoinder. They appear at the committee, and the last time that the CS appeared together with the PS, I think it was last week, they were summoned by the Senate, and they appeared and gave a report in those issues that had been raised by the Senate. So I think it's foolhardy for us to sit and discuss and say that government representatives do not appear in parliament when they are called upon to appear and give a report that benefits the common Mwananchi.
Okay, swiftly moving on to BBI.
Okay.
because I can see that one we shall not agree. But just to clarify, I do not expect any of the cabinet secretaries to appear at the plenary. Of course, I want to believe I was educated a little bit more than that. I expect when the CS or a PS is summoned by a certain committee that they will appear. That was my point. Okay. Now, to the BBI, obviously the expectation from someone like me, Awanjiko, is that the judges, the 7 bench judges will be fair. And the most important thing for me is that they will look at the fundamental question of this BBI, which is one of the reasons I think that it was ruled as unconstitutional by the High Court, is the BBI really a panacea for peace? Okay. Remember, it was the BBI was initially brought.
Your camera. Look at your camera, please. This is camera.
The BBI was initially conceptualized as a supposed panacea for peace, and so I'm sure the courts looked at is that what the final document brought out, and then again the also key issue was the BBI, which was taunted as a public initiative, was it truly a public initiative? Okay. And I will expect nothing less than the Court of Appeal to uphold the ruling of the High Court, because one of the core dictums in peace studies, which originates from Mahatma Gandhi's moral philosophy, is the unity of process and ends. This means that if the end goal is of a certain process is inclusion, then the process for attaining this goal should be inclusive and not exclusive. And therefore, the BBI, one of the things that it failed to attain was that it started as an exclusive and opaque process. Okay, and it was driven by 2 people, the president and Raila Odinga, and therefore it cannot be said to be a public initiative process that was meant or is meant to bring a national peace output. Okay, and I expect the court to be able to focus on that. That one, the BBI is not a national initiative, was not a national public initiative, and 2, the overall proposal of the document has nothing to do with the issue of peace. Okay. And once they look at those 2 factors and they see that those 2 factors are not honestly manifested by the BBI document and the process in which it was taken, I expect the Court of Appeal to throw out that appeal. Okay,
so you expect that it will reinstate the ruling by the High Court. Hi.
Bitok, there's always some false pursuit, an attempt to make the BBI process a one agenda issue. Okay. It's not about peace. It's actually 9 key point agendas. There are issues of security, there are issues of corruption, there are issues of ethnic antagonism, and other 5 issues that the BBI document addresses itself to. In as far as the Court of Appeal is concerned, I hope that the 7 judges would be objective and they wouldn't want to play politics the same way it was played during the High Court sessions. And my expectation is that reading from Article 1 of the Constitution, that the sovereign power belongs to the people and it can actually be exercised either directly or indirectly. The exercise of this sovereign power directly is through 2 simple things. 1 is through an election and 2 is through a referendum. And Article 257 of our Constitution actually clearly stipulates when you want to amend the Constitution through a popular initiative, what you need to do in as far as the process and in as far as the procedure is concerned. And I hope that the High Court will actually restrict itself to that particular process. That said, it's also the Court of Appeals. That said, it's also important for us to realize that for us to call it a popular initiative, it does not actually call for so much attention on who starts the process. There are some who actually say that he's actually the president who started the process and is the head of state, and therefore he is not a common mwananchi to start the process. Not forgetting that the same constitution says that the president has the responsibility of ensuring and enhancing national unity. And if the president feels that there is an initiative that can actually be used to ensure and enhance national unity, then he's at liberty to start that particular process. That said, also, Sandra, for your information, and I know you are part and parcel of this, more than 4 million Kenyans signed and assented to the BBI document before it went to IEBC. Okay. More than 40 county assemblies actually passed the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020. That was the BBI document. And therefore, in as far as the people of Kenya is concerned, we actually met the threshold, because the threshold in as far as the signature is concerned is just 1 million. And we went as far as getting more than 4 million signatures for this particular process. And I think the Court of Appeal has a duty just ensuring that they actually give the common mwananchi an opportunity. If the people think that the BBI document is bad, then the people decide. But if the people think that it's good, let them get an opportunity to vote for this particular document. My mantra is, let the people decide in as far as the BBI is concerned.
Okay. All right.
Bitok, I just want to correct one or two things that have been said by Alex. One, I think it's extremely misleading for Alex to tell us that the president has a mandate to initiate a public process, and that mandate is bestowed by the fact that he is the president of the Republic of Kenya. Sorry, the Constitution of Kenya does not agree with that. Now, if the Constitution was to have been classified as a public initiative, the process should have started with a National Delegates Conference. Very simple. Okay? And the National Delegates Conference would have been mandated to audit the whole constitution, okay, in order to see what are the issues, or rather, in order to incorporate the issues that conceptualize this BBI issue in the first place, and see how they can be integrated into the current constitution. Okay? Number two, let us all remember that the BBI, Alex, the BBI was birthed from the handshake. And unless, he's in the deep state, he probably knows more than I would. But what we were told in public is that the handshake is what birthed the BBI. And the handshake was birthed by a quest and a passion for peace and unity. The other issues that come in the BBI are called consequences, or we say those were issues that were put in, were integrated as, let's also add this now that we're in this process. Okay? So the BBI was initiated as, or conceptualized as a tool to enhance cohesion in the country, and also as a way to forestall any further post-election violences or ethnic aggressions in the future. Okay, so that is the fundamental foundation of the BBI. Okay, I'm sure Alex will want to tell us about the Youth Commission and all that. Those are now, that's just, when you ukitengeza chakula, your main meal is pilau, but on the side, pilau inakujanga na kachumbari. And if you're a Kikuyu, unataka kavuvu. But your main meal is what? The pilau. So that is exactly what we are saying, Alex. The BBI was birthed as a result of these two individuals coming together and telling us Kenyans that there wasn't enough peace at the time, and they felt that they needed to start this process to enhance peace and cohesion in the country. Okay. So he cannot say that the BBI is more than just about peace. It was fundamentally created for peace.
Gerard, I think I'm one of those people who believe that we need to be objective as Kenyans. We need to be patriotic enough, and that starts with accepting and addressing our challenges. As Kenyans, do we accept that ethnicity, or rather negative ethnicity, is a challenge?
Yes, we do.
I think 100% of Kenyans would say that we have been having ethnic antagonism since the advent of multipartyism. Do we agree that corruption is an issue? I've even seen the list that you've given me for the talking points. Corruption is actually featuring there. We accept that corruption is an issue. Do we accept that issues of security are not just limited to physical security, even issues of food security? You have Kenyans who are going hungry in this particular country 50 years, more than 50 years after independence. Is it an issue? Definitely it's an issue. Then how are we going to address this issue?
Do you feel a document can fix that?
Definitely, we cannot legislate everything.
Let's talk about the SEC. We've been
We
having
cannot,
SEC
we cannot legislate everything. But I'm so sure there are some of the things that we can sit down and agree. And bringing it close to what Sandra is talking about, when we were at Bomas, the president revealed some of the information that was not even privy to us. That when he formed the BBI task force, he actually consulted even the deputy president, something the deputy president had not actually come out in public and avow and say that I was consulted, and I even gave representatives to sit in that particular task force. Sandra has also given us some very frivolous information that when you want to amend the constitution, you start with the National Delegates Conference. And I think she was taking cue what happened in Bomas during the constitution review process that was led by Oki Ombaka, Yash Palgai, and other luminaries of the multipartyism struggle. We started the conversation that these are the challenges that we're having, and it gave birth to the handshake. Then the BBI the task force came into existence. At that particular point, we did not know what actually going to be the recommendations of that particular task force. They just sat down. They held their public gathering sessions. They get the they got the information from the public and the contributions and the presentations, and after that they retreat back and say, if the public says that there are issues of the executive that other communities feel that they're not part and parcel of the executive, and they think that expansion of the executive will ensure that there is more inclusion of communities in this country, then how can we be able to achieve this? If there are issues of corruption and the people say that they want a court specifically to deal with issues of corruption so that cases can be expedited and we can get judgments and rulings in corruption cases, how can we be able to ensure this? If the young people come up and say that they have been disenfranchised, that they feel that they are disillusioned, that they feel that their affairs are not actually taken care of by government, and the young people say that they want a commission, then it's upon that particular task force to sit down and say, these are the recommendations that you have gotten from the people in the public sessions that we've had with them. Then how are we going to ensure that these things or these recommendations are actually implemented? And by the implementation, if it presupposes that we have a constitutional review or a constitutional amendment, then so be it. And it's not just about the constitutional amendment. You realize that BBI also proposes for administrative and policy changes. That is something that everyone else is forgetting, that we should not just focus on the constitutional amendment. We should also focus on the policy and administrative changes that actually supposed to be enacted by Parliament and and the executive arm of government. These are some of the changes that actually very close to the young people. Issues about the help that is affecting almost all other graduates who are transiting from school to the job market. These are issues that are actually supposed to be implemented by the ministries and the departments of government. So we should not lose focus and just concentrate on one thing, or should not lose focus and be devil and try to call BBI a bad name before killing it. Let us give the citizens an opportunity to look into this particular document, to make their own judgments and to decide whether they want it or not. Okay.
All right. Let's talk about siasa kidogo. Hoka collapses. It has collapsed. NASA seems to be regrouping. We're also talking about Gideon Moi, who has now moved to Raila's camp. We're talking about Jubilee and NASA forming and ODM forming a coalition government. And you wonder, okay, what's the motivation behind all these coalition arrangements? Sandra, what do you make of the coalition between Jubilee and ODM, the collapse of NASA, the collapse of Oka, and is NASA grouping?
Before I go to that, let me comment briefly on the BBI. Okay. It's very close to my heart. I want to start to first of all say that if the president had been genuine with the issues of, as Alex has raised, of sorting out ethnic aggression and all those fancy words that were created by the BBI, then what the president would have done in his patriotism is he would have called for the Truth and Justice Reconciliation Commission report to have been released, the Agenda 4 of the National Accord report to have been released and implemented. And he could have used his infamous and frivolous executive orders to have some of these reports taken off the shelf and implemented, because these reports cover a lot of the issues that have been attempted to be covered by the BBI in terms of ethnic aggression. Okay, but he chose to pick up a 20 billion plus process, to hoodwink Kenyans that we're trying to seek peace, and then fixed it in there so that he can hook in Akina Alex, our youth, to support him by putting in issues like the Youth Commission. And by the way, Alex, I need you to honestly explain to me this Youth Commission thing that you people are so excited about. One, there's already a commission, I believe, in place that handles the issue of youth. But if the government wanted
Minister,
to be, in the Ministry of Youth and those frivolous ministries that exist, if the president wanted to truly, or he had a genuine goodwill on the issue of youth, we would see it in his appointments. The same president has been picking old wazes, whom I respect, by the way, and that's why some of the I rarely want to talk about that issue, because you have to talk about people like Mudi Awori and Beth Mugo. These are gentle souls, people who made an impact in our country in the yesteryears. But we are saying they should be on the retirement bench. So why is this president, who you're now saying through the BBI wants to uplift the youth, but this is the president who has the power to uplift the youth today, is appointing the elderly? Okay, this is the same president, Alex, who at one point stood up after you people worked so hard to bring him in under TNA, and then worked extra hard again to bring him in again during the 2017 Jubilee campaign. He dared to stand up and say, the youth are not trustworthy, and that is why I appoint old people. And then you tell me this is the same guy we are supposed to believe, that by him creating this BBI document, he has this amazing love and passion for the youth. He then, when he realized that he's exposed, quickly went and picked Zach Kinuthia from Facebook, put him in there to celebrate that he has appointed a youth. And then he quickly went and picked there's some two youthful CES is the one in health. Yes. I appreciate that lady very much. And there's another one, a Swahili lady. I don't know which department which ministry she's in. But anytime she goes on the screen, she talks. You listen and you see, that's an intelligent mind.
Yeah. So you're appreciating the appointments.
Just 2-3 appointments, young man, from a bunch of how many? And then you want to tell me this president is being genuine? He's not being genuine. And you see, Alex, those are the things that a Kenyan like me will sit back and we're looking and we're saying, you want to support the youth, yet you're there pointing at Akina Mudiawori and Wambui, Kibaki, or I don't know what her other name is. These issues of integrity and being genuine are what are making Kenyans question the honesty and the genuinity of the BBI document. Okay. Now, going back to your question. Which was the breakup of NASA, the breakup of
Hoka.
Mm-hmm.
The Hoka principle is now in ODM.
I really would not want to comment about the breakup of Hoka because we're only seeing that on the Star headline. And by the way, there's something Alex mentioned about the DP being part of the makeup of the task force. I will tell you, I was in Karen in a certain meeting, and the deputy president was questioned by one of the audiences. How is it that you say that you do not know about the BBI, yet the president said that you were part of the individuals he called on to provide names for the task force? And the deputy president stood up and said, when he was approached by the president, and cameras were on, he was told that the issue that they're looking at is setting up a task force that will solely focus on the issue of ethnic aggression, post-election violence, and all that hullabaloo that always comes up every time that there is issues after an election. Okay. And he says, if you look at all the individuals who are in the BBI, whom he proposed, they are individuals who are part of a peace, one peace task force or another, either during the Moi era or during the the 2007 post-election violence era. And he proposed individuals with peace negotiation skills. He says when the mandate of the BBI or the handshake issue was expanded to include all these other issues of expanded executive, blah, 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 those were issues that were brought in later. And therefore, the people he put into that or he proposed into that commission clearly did not fit into that mandate. Okay? And so he has totally pulled off and said, I was told to name people who can help in a negotiation and cohesion enhancement process. Okay, I think now we have solved that one. This thing of constantly trying to involve my deputy president in issues, I'm going to vehemently fight against.
You hold the brief for him?
I do not hold the brief for him. I am a tanga-tanga. I am a hustler. I am a mwananchi who will defend my chief hustler, the chief clerk.
Okay.
Just as the way you will defend Uhuru, I believe.
I've never been to State House actually, but you said you were in Karen and
yes,
you are privileged enough to.
It's an amazing place, and I had lunch.
The hustlers' lunch.
The hustlers' mansion, and we had hustlers' lunch. Right. So that I just needed to clarify that.
Yes.
So now on the OCA and the NASA issue, like I said, even the Star, there's a time they had put up, what is it called? A headline recently, naming, I can't remember, was it Kionjuri as the deputy president's deputy president's running mate for 2022. And what happened is some of us went into a frenzy of phone calls, asking one or two Waheshimiwas, haya. And them they were like, that's what headlines do. They're supposed to make people panic and ask questions. The deputy president has not at any point spoken or pointed out who he has chosen as his running mate. So that's why I say I would not want to comment on the OCA issue because it has only appeared on the Star. And the Star has proven that it can be a channel for the untruth. But the breakup of NASA and then the union of Jubilee and NASA, those ones we can comment.
Yes.
Because we are seeing it happen.
But they also appear on headlines.
No, but we are seeing them happen.
Okay.
The president himself said that he's going to support a NASA candidate.
Okay.
So I can easily say certain headlines have been vindicated by the presidential announcements or proclamations. Yes. Okay.
But the same people who actually attended that meeting in State House say that the president did not say that.
Well, we are used to these stories of I was misquoted. And let me tell you what has happened is that announcement by President Uhuru that he is going to support a NASA candidate caused wonders for us at Kiambaa.
Okay.
Let me tell you, the Kiambaa voters were like, NASA. Did you see Wamushomba? Did you see Honorable Wamushomba? Immediately she put a post on Facebook. Akasema wacha nikae nyuma ya hema at the NASA. And that is the exact reaction on the ground.
Okay.
Wanjiko was like, ati NASA, ati Raila. The same guy who has been giving us headache and trouble. And then now Uhuru is going to hook up with the same fellow. They were all like,
unfortunately, that is actually what BBI wanted to address. Issues of national unity, issues of embracing. Can you embrace leaders?
BBI will
Can you not just...
Alex, BBI will not address the issue of national cohesion and ethnic aggression by changing the executive or expanding the executive. If we truly, and if we can be honest on this table, if we truly want to deal with the issue of post-election violence or post-election aggression and ethnic issues, then we need to send Raila Odinga home because he is the key architect for the trouble that we get every time. We cannot have the same person pushing us to change the constitution, to mutilate the constitution all the time, just to fit him. And
Gerald,
who is
you'll
the
allow me-
person?
Gerald, you'll allow me to come in.
Allow me to finish my
Okay,
point.
finish. Oh, you can give it one.
Gerald keeps telling me not to interrupt you, so you allow me to finish. In every election cycle, there's always that one guy who's bringing the ethnic arithmetic issue into play. Raila Odinga. And I rarely, more often than not, in the couple of years, even on my Facebook platform, I've tried to draw away from going at Raila Odinga, because he's now an old man, he's a statesman, and we need to give him his due respect. But the truth of the matter is, it is Raila who's always bringing up stories of Kikuyu versus Sijui. Ni wao sayote wanakeria kiti. Sijui what. He's always the guy, Sijui 40 plus, 40 against 2. So he is the key architect of these issues.
Sandra,
And
you're
he
going overboard.
has, I'm not going overboard.
Yes.
I'm expressing my
Because now
opinion.
it's time to pick calls.
Yeah.
So,
If we are truly to be honest to ourselves and say we want to solve ethnic aggression after elections or during campaigns, then can we please ask Raila Odinga to step down from the political scene, and we will see a change.
It is actually very cantankerous, Bitok, for Sandra to claim that the issues of the president allegedly saying that he's going to support an NASA candidate gave them a mark in Kiamba, and is something that they need to celebrate about, because the president has come together with Raila Odinga. As young people, I think we should be very, very concerned, because these are some of the issues that have brought post-election violence. These are some of the issues that are actually fueling ethnic antagonism in this country. I want to live in a country where Raila Amolo Odinga can stand and can present himself as a presidential candidate, as a Kenyan, and I see him in terms of his aspirations, in terms of his vision, in terms of his manifesto, not as a Luo. And I'd also want to go and contest in this country where someone would see Alex in terms of my character and what I present on the table, rather than seeing me as a Luya. And I think we lose focus if we have to now go back to the tribal cocoons, retreat to the tribal cocoons, and start judging people in terms of their tribal affiliations. Raila Odinga has made his mark in this particular country. If you stand up and start criticizing Raila Amolo Odinga, then you have to remember that even the democracy that you're celebrating today, it is because of the sacrifices of Raila Amolo Odinga and others. He was actually detained by Moi several years, about 7 years. He was in detention just because he was fighting for multipartyism. In 2007, he was there and he folded, and he was humble enough to accept for a negotiated government just because of his love for this country. And therefore, he has a career of being a patriot, of putting Kenya first and ensuring that what we aspire as Kenyans can actually come into actualization. And therefore, it's foolhardy for us as a younger generation to start seeing each other as a tribal cocoon. I want to go to Kiamba even tomorrow or the next day and campaign on Kariri Njama based on his policies and what he has to offer for the people of Kiamba, not because he's linked to Jubilee, and therefore I can now start saying that the party leader of Jubilee is working with the party leader of ODM. Therefore, we cannot support Kariri Njama. Let us support him because of what he presents. If we are supporting Wanjiku, support Wanjiku basically because of what he presents. And just to remind Sandra, because I'm a student of history,
yes,
the same Raila Odinga today is bad because it's 2021. In 2007 and 2005, just after the referendum, Machungwa, orange and bananas, you seem to forget that even Uhuru Kenyatta was part and parcel of ODM. William Ruto was part and parcel of ODM. Musalia Mudavadi was part and parcel of ODM. So in as far as we want to have a perspective, a futuristic perspective about our politics, let us not forget history. Let us learn from history that all these political actors have actually belonged to the same camp once. Even if we can actually even go back further than that and say all of them were in KANU, all the political actors that we have currently at some point were in KANU. Therefore, as young people, I think we have to be focused, we have to be patriotic enough, and we have to embrace each other as Kenyans and not retreat back to our tribal cocoons and start judging people by their ethnic orientations.
All right, very quickly on coalitions.
Gordon, I mean, Bitok, Gerald, I totally agree. I totally agree with
I'd given you
with
your
Alex.
time,
Let me just finish this one point. I totally agree with Alex on the issue of retreating back to tribal cocoons. I totally agree with you, Alex, and I thank God that you have seen that point. And I say this because when I mentioned Raila Odinga, I did not talk about his tribe.
You said that he brought issues of Kikuyus and Luos.
No.
You said that is on record. You can play it back.
Do you have a replay?
Yes,
Gerald?
you said that.
Alex, let me finish.
And you see, actually, you're even surprised on the utterances that you just made here.
Please, Alex, let's not go into the typical back and forth banter.
Yes.
I know exactly what I said. Do not try to put words into my mouth.
What did you say?
Number
What did you
two,
say?
I talked about Raila Odinga, the person, and I said in Kiamba, they said, if Uhuru is joining up with the same fellow and the same group of NASA that has brought us trouble all along and has caused this country trouble all along, then they're not going to be associated with him. I have not mentioned Kikuyu. I have not mentioned Luo.
Play it back, Bitok.
Alex,
Play it back.
let's relax.
Play it back.
I don't know what her producer had.
Yeah, play it back.
So at the end of the day, we expect this kind of loud attack as a counter measure from the people like Alex. But I know what I said. I did not mention the aspect of Luo. I have no problem with Luos. I have a problem with Raila Odinga as an individual. And I specifically said that of late, and even on my platform, I have consciously moved away from criticizing Raila because of his age and recognizing that he's a statesman. I did not mention about his Luo factor. Number two, for you to have looked at the Luo factor means that you're the tribalist, and at your age, that should be wrong. And therefore, look in the mirror and repeat exactly what you said about retreating into tribal cocoons. Number two, I'm also a student of history. I studied history many years ago. He was probably in class 2 or 3. What I do remember, Alex, and I was very much alive.
Yes.
I used to read newspapers. My father, Mr. Kimani, used to come home with newspapers. And before you go to bed, you would read those newspapers and give him a brief. And I remember very well the change into multi-party democracy was made manifest by Matiba and Rubia. After Raila pulled all sorts of stunts, undemocratic stunts from coups and everything, it was Matiba and Raila and Rubia who used a legislative process to repeal Section 2A of the Constitution then that allowed for the multi-party democracy that we have today. So let nobody try to give Raila 100% credit. But the thing that I want to really emphasize to you, Alex, is that today you have manifested the very thing I have been talking about. That the youth today are not the platform of change that we're supposed to be having. If I can mention Raila Odinga, and the first thing that comes into your young man's head like this is Luo, that I'm criticizing him because he's Luo, then that makes me wonder, is the BBI really going to bring the change that we're going to bring if that we're envisioning to be brought?
Right. Wacha tufungue simu.
Fungua simu.
Mimi sijaongea yangu ya coalition.
Sema mambo ya coalition.
Yangu ya coalition.
Sema mambo ya coalition.
I think
nafasi.
You've seen we have reset her back.
No, you have not reset me back to anything.
She was actually very
do
lost.
not be smart.
Sandra.
And I know
No, you have not. No, you
Sandra,
have not.
Sandra, let him
No, you have not.
I know the
No, you
clips.
have not.
I know the clips will be played.
No, you have not.
And once they are played,
I am not
I
tribal.
hope that you'll be magnanimous
Play
enough.
it.
Sandra,
I hope
please.
you'll be
Let
magnanimous
him
enough
Let's have it played. Let's
to
have it
withdraw.
played.
I hope you'll be
Let's have it
magnanimous
played.
enough to withdraw your sentiments
Let's have it played.
concerning the ethnic balkanization of this country.
That is your
And as a
perception.
young
Sandra,
person,
please.
as a
He
young
gave you a
person,
chance to speak. Let him speak.
born and raised in Trans Nzoia County, a cosmopolitan county where we have more than 42 communities of this country, I'll be the last person to retreat back to my tribal
You're the
cocoon.
first person on this
I have
program.
been raised with Kikuyus, I've been raised with Kalenjins, I've been raised with Taitas, I've been raised with Kisis, with Turkanas, and every other community. And I've always manifested my character as Alex Matere to be accepted in the community and to be given leadership roles as Alex Matere, as what I present to the community, the vision that I have, the aspirations that I have, and nothing based on the tribal affiliation or the tribal extraction that I come from.
And
That
we
said,
criticize
in as far as
Raila Odinga as a person and not as a
in terms
Luo.
of history, I
Sandra,
don't know. You are reading from a wrong script. I think that is some sort of a jinxed history.
That's my history.
And the kind of papers
And
that
the
you
history
use,
of many Kenyans.
and the kind of papers that you used to read.
I
at
read
that
the
particular
very
point.
many papers at the
Sandra,
time. It was
let him
very-
finish.
If you
He
realize
gave you an
I'm trying to
opportunity to
tone down
speak.
so
Let
that
him
it doesn't turn out to be a heckling match, because I'm not very good in heckling.
Oh, you're very good at
I
it.
just present
It's
my
a 16th
points.
century agenda.
Sandra, please, let him finish. Alex. Okay.
Yes. What I wanted to remind you, in as far as we talk about multi-party democracy, and I've said that I'm a student of history, I did not allude it and give great credit to only Raila Amolo Odinga. Okay. We have champions of multi-party democracy. Raila Amolo Odinga was the shining star of that particular time. We had Orengo, who also played a very formidable role in ensuring that we have multipartyism. We had Martin Shikuku, we had Rubia, we had the former Kiharu MP, Matiba, that you are talking about, who actually were part and parcel of the movement for multi-party democracy. Secondly, if you want to understand about multi-party democracy, it is not about a legislative piece of paper that was presented in parliament. It's because of the pressure that was exerted by international bodies, by the activists that I've just mentioned, and political actors, that President Moi yielded to that particular pressure and revoked Article 2A of that particular constitution that gave rise to multipartyism at that particular juncture. That said, you talked about coalitions, and in as far as the political environment that we have in this country is concerned, it becomes almost impossible for you to win the presidency without the coalitions. Mm-hmm. It is very important that as far as we talk about issues of coalitions, let us talk about building political parties that represent ideologies, that represent visions, that represent what the people of Kenya believe, rather than building political parties that they're ethnic based. And therefore, when we come at the national level and form a coalition, let us have a coalition that addresses the issues of the common mwananchi. Okay. You saw what happened in Israel just the other day with the election of the new prime minister. In Naftali. You realize that in his own party, he actually only has 6 members of parliament. Mm. And he was able actually to even go past the yardstick, about 61 votes for him to ascend to the position of the prime minister. That is the kind of the democracy that we want. That the majority will have their way and say, but also the minority can have their say.
But also talking about Israel,
as far as we have parties that are very dominant with very big numbers in terms of supporters, but also let us have also these small parties coming in, fitting in, and also playing a role in terms of promotion of the democracy that we want to have for future generations.
All right. And I think also what is the dangers of having the wrong center and the wrong hinging on coalitions? Because in Israel, the only reason those guys were coalescing is against Netanyahu. When Netanyahu is out of the picture, what happens to Israel? The same thing is happening today in Kenya. What is informing coalitions? Habari asubuhi, bunga la mwananchi.
Bunga la mwananchi, habari asubuhi.
Jambo.
Farid Faraja hapa
Farid, mambo?
Poa sana, habari ya weekend.
Hivyo, mambo ndio hii. Leo ni Tuesday, si weekend.
Ndio naamka sasa hivi.
Karibu.
Salamia Sandra hapo na Alex
Wako hapa.
Tumesalimika Farid.
That's Alex, man. You are a very brilliant guy, but very confused. That's you shida nini?
Unasema hivyo. Unapiga wageni wangu bana.
The other day,
Yes.
ulikuwa ndani amelipwa nja tu siruta na ile wheelbarrow. Kumbe kitu iko kwa damu tu, confusion.
Sawa Farid.
And if that is the way you're going to do your politics, Alex, it is not going to take you so far. Utapata certain pleasure saa hizi, but in the near future it will haunt you.
Can you comment on the issues?
No,
I have a counsel and high advisors. Comment on the issues that were being discussed. Yes.
Let me comment on you as an individual to improve your political discussions. You don't have to be...
Okay, let's proceed.
Comment on issues,
Tusonge Farid.
Okay. Sandra?
Yes, Farid.
Habari asubuhi.
Na usinichome?
Sikuchomi. Mko na makosa kidogo hapo. You don't have to mention Raila as an individual and relate him to a community.
I have not.
So, noted. So when you correct people, we are just trying to build a better conversation and not to criticize you people to destroy your point.
Thank you, Farid, and I take note of that.
Okay, thank you.
But I must emphasize, I would just want to correct you and emphasize that we're going to request Bitok to play back the session in which I started on Raila. And if I do get to see that I talked anything to do with Luo or his ethnic background, then I will make a public apology. But because I'm confident that I did not, I referred to Raila Odinga as an individual. Then I think we should carry we should make the one who brought in the issue of him being a Luo carry that responsibility.
Okay.
Yes, Farid.
On coalition building, Gerald. It is too early to build coalitions now. That is why you see, of course, Kenya is collapsing. And the Jubilee ODM merger has not materialized.
Okay.
And another thing is about the governor of Nairobi. They are now appointing somebody who became number 3 in Homa Bay to become a deputy governor after promising Wiper that they will give them the governorship, the deputy governorship. So it is going to destroy the coalition between Jubilee and Wiper. Of which that was the basis when they were signing with Akina Murada and Tuju to merge the two parties or to work together in parliament and other forums.
Okay.
Otherwise, have a fantastic day.
All right, thank you so much, Farid Faraji. Kwa siku njema. Asante. Okay. Jambo, bunge la mwenyenchi. Bunge la mwenyenchi.
Hello.
Bunge la mwenyenchi, jambo.
Jambo Bitoko, habari?
Safi sana, ni Rosie.
Nileditosa Rosie.
Habari ya Tarbo.
Napiga kutoka Tarbo tuko salama. Mimi nataka kuambia Alex kwamba wakati anaona Oka kwamba huyu anaitwa Gideon. Kwanza Gideon ametoka Oka na hakuna kitu chochote hata alikuwa amepeleka huko. Gideon tuseme kama ni pesa, wananchi ndio wanapiga kura. Okay. Hii pesa na akitoka pale aende kwa Jubilee ama ODM. Sijui hicho chama kitakuwa kinaitwa Kajuo. KANU, Jubilee na ODM.
Atakajuo.
Sioni kama kuna Kajuo. Sioni kama kuna kitu chochote ambacho amepeleka huko. Kwanza tukianza na huko kwake.
Okay.
Tuliona what happened wakati wa BBI. Sijui walikuwa wanasema MCAs wangapi alishindwa kuwa control na wakapiga no. Huyo ni mtu mwenye apeleki chochote kwa Raila ama kwa Jubilee. Na wakati Alex anaunga hiyo muungano. Tukiangalia hizi families tatu, kuna ile ya Uhuru, kuna ya Odinga, kuna sasa ya Moi. Yeye atakuwa anaongea nini?
Rosie.
Atakuwa anaambia nini vijana?
Rosie.
Kwamba huo ndio muungano ambao anapigia upato.
Amesema apigie upato hiyo.
Rosie.
Yes.
Oriana.
Malai.
Sasa mimi hata sijaongea mambo ya Oka. Wewe unasema mambo gani hita?
Tunaongelea mambo yao. Ya hii huyu Gideon kuingia ule mrengo ambao una support. Ni nini ameleta kwa meza?
Mimi sijaongea mambo ya Oka na sijataja mambo ya Gideon Moi.
Okay, then wacha ikuwe ni maoni yangu. Gideon aleti chochote. Hiyo ni kwenda kuwesti tu hapo, hata pengine tuongezema Raila peke yake angejisimamia kivi yake badala ya watu wengine watatu.
Sawa Rosie.
Asante Rosie.
Salimia kwa watu wa Tarbo. Bunge la mwenyenchi.
Hello bwana.
Jambo sana, habari ya leo?
Jambo sana, naitwa Kevin.
Yes Kevin, leta habari.
Yes, asante sana. Sasa na wacha kwanza niambie ndugu Alex hapo. Alex does not speak for the youth.
Who does he speak for?
ODM. He only speaks for ODM.
Okay.
Tena unajua kitu kimoja, Alex akiongea anaongea na ujeuri mingi sana. Angalia vile anaongelesha Madam Sandra hapo. Unajua Sandra ni mtu akona experience. What kind of youth anaongeanga with such kind of tone? Kwanza kitu kimoja, ukiangalia Alex ni mtu, hata unakumbuka wakati Obama vile alienda kuongelesha the deputy president. This guy ni mtu ambaye akona interest. Unajua kuna wakati ambapo pia mimi nilikuwa na support ODM. Na nilikuwa na hiyo roho ya kuresist. Hiyo kitu inakuanga na kuna kuanga na certain spirit kibaya sana kuresist tu vitu kama vile Raila. I think it Sandra amesema Raila is not as democratic as people think. Raila is not a democratic person.
Okay.
If he was a democratic person, unakumbuka wakati 2017 election ilikuwa annulled. Mbona wakati huo, unajua if at all Raila angesikiliza na aende na afanye repeat election, unajua jamaa angeshinda.
Okay.
Lakini ujeuri, huyu jamaa ni mtu ambaye he does not, hata ukisikia anaambiwa afuate sheria, ni kitu ni kama ni ngumu sana, afuate, si mtu wa kufuata sheria.
Okay.
Sasa Kevin unasema mimi ni mjeuri kama baba.
Wewe ni mjeuri sana. Alex, wewe ni mtu mjeuri sana.
Kevin listen first. ODM, I'm not a member of ODM. ODM has its own spokesperson in the name of the Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, my friend.
I'm not saying you're a spokesperson.
That's what you said, that I speak on behalf of ODM. So I wanted to set the record straight for you and other listeners.
Not that you speak on behalf, but you speak for them.
Alex MATERE is a youth champion in this country. My track record.
You are not a youth champion, my friend. You are a youth champion.
My track record is not. Are you youth in the first place?
Yes, I'm a youth, below 35.
Okay. Then I'm
an eligible voter.
Then I'm championing for your rights.
Which right? Which right bwana? Ukiwa unatukana watu, ukiwa unatukana even the deputy president.
Nani ametusiwa Kevin?
Mbona ulienda kuongea mabaya ya deputy president wakati ambapo walikuwa?
I talked about a 16th century invention trying to
unajua mimi natumia wheelbarrow
in the 21st century. Even where I come from, relax Kevin, even where I come from Kitale, and we are farmers. I also use a wheelbarrow. But my dissertation during that particular session was criticizing the use of a wheelbarrow as a symbol for progress and aspirations for young people. That's what most of the people do not want to understand. It's about the representation of a wheelbarrow as a source of aspirations, as a vision for what young people should endeavor to have in future. And that is where I conflict, and that's where I actually lose track in as far as propagating the wheelbarrow initiative is concerned, that is being championed by Tangatanga.
Brother Gerald Kabdojakato, wacha niseme hivi.
Sema.
Kitu kimoja tunafaa tuelewe ni hivi. Unajua kila mtu ako na akili yake. Na unajua kitu kimoja, before you advance, kabla hujaanza kununua magari makubwa, ukianza na baiskeli na vitu kidogo si mbaya. Okay. Unaona? Because it is a movement. Life is about progress. That's one thing you should know. Na kina MATERE wangekuwa watu wazuri, wangetuonyesha what have they done for the youth? What have they done for people, so that they can criticize those who are trying to do even the little that they are doing, that they are calling non-progressive. Unaona? Kitu kimoja these people should know, wanafaa kuwe democratic enough. So that when someone offers this solution, na hao wako na solution nyingine kando. Okay? So that waseme, this person is not offering something good, we are offering something better. Unaona? That's the kind of conversation ambayo tunahitaji. Hii conversation ya kushinda, unakumbuka wakati baba alienda kuongea against Safaricom akiwa na champion Airtel. If at all Wakenya wangekuwa, na waamini baba ana influence, did Safaricom go down? It did not go down. Kwanza shares zake zilipanda sana hiyo wakati. Unaona? Na ndio nasema, one thing these people wanajua ni kuresist, criticize, but they do not offer something better. Okay? And I want to align myself na hizo policies zenye Sandra anasema, namwambia shikilie, asikuwe intimidated by that. MATERE is a bully. By the MATERE ni bully. That guy is a bully. Usikuwe intimidated. That guy is a bully. Bully.
Thank you. I've seen it as well.
Sawa Kevin, thanks for calling.
Hata mimi jana tutaniita hapo siku moja.
Kuja karibu. Asante. Bunge la Mwananchi.
Hello Gerard, how are you?
Salama sana, mambo?
Niko mzima salama, naitwa Gitau
sema Gitau.
It's a good conversation, but it's very interesting to see Sandra deny the fact that she alluded to Raila Odinga as a Luo, which is true, which he did.
Thank you.
And it's sad because if we did not have a national conversation in 2007, William Ruto will not be a darling to Mount Kenya as he is at the moment.
Okay.
the conversation that Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to force in Kenyans is that where you come from does not matter.
Okay.
The moment we see Raila Odinga as a Luo kingpin, is now the reason why Sandra is saying that watu wa Kiambaa watakataa sababu Raila ameletwa. That is very wrong.
Okay.
That is very wrong, and I think it shouldn't be something we should be discussing at a time when we are facing a looming election in 2022. Number two, Sandra said that the WRC did not economically impact this country. That is a fallacy. That is wrong, obviously. Ningetaka kumuuliza hao watu walikuwa wanaendesha magari, walikuja na chakula yao? Hawakuja. Men and women walipikia watu uji, wakakunywa. People from hotels made 100% booking. So in as much as we would like to inherently appear to defy or to resist government, sometimes it's good to have an honest conversation. The economy was fine. We pumped 6 billion to the economy. We traded Kenya as a national hub for tourism and a sport hub, among other things. So let Sandra stop lying to Wanjiko, who are listening to the tackle.
Okay. Gitao, thank you very much for your contribution, and I just want to correct you on two things. One, Gerald Bitok will upload the full program on YouTube.
Very well,
and when he does that, I would like you to come to my page and specifically state the minute on which, because it will show you the minute timing. Put the minute timing of where I mentioned in my discussion of saying that Kiambaa is it was a good impact on us when Uhuru said that he's hooking up with Raila, and I attributed that to the Luo factor on Raila. I want that to be a homework between you and I, for the simple reason.
I will definitely.
Yeah, for the simple reason, Gitao, is that I'm very forthright like that, and I will hold you to that, and I will actually pick your details, or rather your phone number, from Gerald, so that we can have this discussion with you. And we will place it on. I will place it on the social media platform, because it's very important for Kenyans to, as you say, have an open and honest conversation. Number two, you alluded to the fact that Ruto has become a darling to Mount Kenya because of the, I don't know, you talked about something like 2017 or I don't know.
The handshake between him and William Ruto.
Okay. Now, I would like to correct you on one thing. What I do know, the reason why Ruto has become a darling to Mount Kenya is because two things. One, the president himself introduced the Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, as a good man in 2013 and 2017. And he told the Kikuyu nation that this is a good man, and this guy is the guy I'm going to plead with you people to give the opportunity to be the president after me. And the Kikuyu nation bought into what President Uhuru was selling at the time. Now, the second thing that has made the Kikuyu nation stand with Dr. Ruto is that despite the hardship and the humiliation that he has faced in this government, he has retained a steady show of respect for the president and for the presidency. And he has also shown the Kikuyu nation that at no point in time is he going to openly disrespect their son, even if he has been himself humiliated and disrespected, but that he's going to wait for our son to finish his term, and then Ruto is going to go out on a full campaign at the right time. So those are the two issues that have endeared Dr. Ruto to the Kikuyu nation. And on top of that, there is the way he stood with President Uhuru during the ICC issue and when the elections, in the 2013 elections, where Ruto worked very hard to make sure that the two of them won. And that contributed immensely to saving them from the ICC nook. So at the end of the day, Gitao, like you said, let's have an honest conversation. You are the one who is supposed to stop lying to Kenyans by thinking that you can bully me on air by insinuating that I said things that I did not say, and then trying to sell. Alex, this is my conversation.
I think what we do, let's finish with the calls.
No one is being bullied.
So what we do, okay, guys, order. Okay, guys, order. Let's finish with the calls. Take your notes, then you'll respond call by call.
So on the
Gitao,
rally,
please finish up. Gitao, just take your notes.
Gerald.
Yes.
I have taken my notes.
Not you. I'm talking to my panelists. So you finish up with your
Okay.
call.
Oh, thank you. Maybe I'm done.
Asante sana Digango. Thank you. Bunga la Mwananchi. Bunga la Mwananchi.
Hey, Bitok.
Jambo.
Habari yako?
Salama sana boss. Naongea na nani?
Unaongea na Maina.
Maina.
Kutoka Nyeri.
Haya, niambie dadi.
Salimia Joki.
asante.
Nimesalimia Alex.
Nimesalimika ndugu Maina.
Alex, nataka kuongea naye kidogo.
Ndio.
Wewe ni kijana kama sisi. Na ukiangalia ODM and Jubilee, there is no democracy. If you have a different opinion, you are thrown out. So kusupport hao wazee, there is no time youth will ever get a chance. Ukweli ama uongo? Ukiangalia appointment zenye wanafanya, vijana hakuna, wasichana wadogo hakuna. It's only one, mmoja tu. Only those who are out them, wenye wanawasifu, hao ndio wanapewa kazi.
Okay.
Ukweli ama uongo?
Wewe uliza maswali atakujibu baadaye.
Then tuingie mambo ya coalitions.
Okay.
Ukiangalia those coalitions that are being formed, they are formed on tribal.
Thank you.
Kinasa, we get these lawyers, we get this. No, but if you look at UDA, Joki,
Hey,
we had Hega.
asante.
Don't try to move from there.
I will
You
not.
see, hata tuko Yuda.
Haya.
Huku hata ukikuja huku mashinani sisi tuko Yuda because manifesto yenyu inaongea. Ukiangalia hao wengine wakienda hata kwa meeting ama kwa rally, Ruto ni mwizi, Ruto awekwe ndani. Nothing else they talk.
Okay.
Hawana manifesto. Hata
Asante
kuambia
ndugu
watu venye watafanya. Hello.
Asante bro Maina. Jambo, bunga la Mwananchi. Pota bunga la Mwananchi 07798010 07798010. Simu kidogo za mwisho tunge. Joel Arama, Chairman Diaspora Edition. Hello, Joel Arama.
Bwana Gerald.
Jambo. Niambie.
Leo imekuwa pawa.
Leo iko mambo kidogo. Bunga la Mwananchi.
Good morning, Gerard.
To you, sir.
This is Martin Warui from Kasarani.
Yes, Martin.
Salimia Sandra sana na Alex.
Tumesalimika, asante.
Now, I want to start on the issue of the ranking of members of parliament. And earlier on, there was a conversation between, saying which is the best way to rank members of parliament. Where should they focus on? Is it development on the ground or their mandate in parliament? I think the ranking should take into account both qualitative aspects and quantitative aspects. If it's, developments on the ground, infrastructure, security, and those other things, those are also good. But you see, the mandate of a member of parliament are three. Representation, that is number one. Number two is legislation, and then number three is oversight. I do not think that a member of parliament would be deemed to have performed if he does not contribute into parliament. Because, he is supposed to ideally improve the quality of all those three core mandates, But if a member of parliament spends all his time in the constituency, there are things that are going to pass him in parliament because he is not, being very productive there. So I would want us to have a balance of both, focus on the ground, but also be in parliament to represent your people, to oversight the executive mainly, and also to contribute to legislation, And it's the same thing that you asked Alex and Sandra regarding the BBI, the litigation that is now starting at the Court of Appeal today. And you asked them, what should the court focus on? And Alex, said, if you asked him, the best way to determine the fate of BBI is to take it to the people so that the people decide, using the words of Kenneth Matiba. And in the in the High Court, the judges pointed on issues of, qualitative issues, saying, you could have 4 million signatures from Wanjiko, but what was the process that was used to collect these signatures, Was it democratic? if it is about inclusivity, was the process inclusive? Who started this process? And, the precedent that was set by the Supreme Court in 2017, it's still, hovering around, The process is as important as the end. And the end cannot stand legally and constitutionally if the process was not legal and if it was not constitutional. On the issue of coalitions, I think like one caller said, I think it's too early to talk about coalitions. I think a lot is going to change politically. But there are some people who will move from one coalition to the other, because essentially they have no feet to stand on their own. These are people who are being escorted by others to the political arena. And I have in mind somebody like Gideon Moy. I told you that Gideon Moy is a political pendulum. He is not his own man. So he should go there, come here, now return to where we are, and that is what is going to continue. But otherwise, lastly, this conversation of our ethnic communities, I think it's a very slippery conversation. But I think we must not feel embarrassed that we are having it. Of course, it's good to moderate it and to be modest when we are talking about it. But I don't think it is a conversation that we must shy away from talking about. So long as we do not attack communities or we do not attack individuals on account of their ethnic, backgrounds, I think it's okay. We must have this difficult conversation. Otherwise, I loved every bit of the conversation. The guests have been outstanding, both Alex and Sandra. And your moderation, Gerard, again, it's top level.
It's been a tough morning, though. About to fix it. All right. Bunga la Mwananchi.
Hello?
Jambo.
Bwana Bitok, vipi?
Salama sana. Unaongea na nani?
Naongea na Mheshimiwa Masaki Samuel, Nairobi.
Masaki vipi? Senatare.
Salama sana. Sasa habari ya Njoki?
Njoki hana neno, Senator, asante.
Na habari ya Alex?
Senator mwenzako.
Yes, sasa I want to talk first to Alex. Number one. Bwana, hii maneno ya unapiga vita tu, unaanza kupiga watu vita tu, unapiga DP vita, mtu ambaye anasaidia watu, mtu ambaye amesimama na wananchi. This is very wrong. You are a young person like us. At least we appreciate what the DP is doing. Yes. So instead of you aligning to the movement ambayo ina support, hata afadhali utoke kwa hiyo mrengo hiyo yote uingie kwa vijana peke yake. Stop being partisan in this politics. And you see, we are watching you and we are seeing what you are doing.
Lakini wewe hata Masaki uko na mrengo yako. Kuna makosa mtu ako na mrengo yake.
Kila mtu ako na mrengo yake ndio, lakini let us not be partisan in our politics. Okay? Let us gifika mahali mtu akikosea, hata DP akifika mahali aanze kukanyaga vijana, tutamwambia hapa unakosea.
Okay.
Yes, if it has to be partisan, it has to be politics, let it be non-partisan. Ukisimama na vijana, let it all be fair. What he did, and we'll never forget what Alex did in Bomas, that was very wrong, it was uncalled for. And going forward,
the day you'll never forget. Composition. Hata utarudisha tuchukua notes yako.
Which part of Bomas don't you agree with?
The part that you call that, why were you castigating? Unasema kwamba this is 19th century. 16th. I don't know invention.
What is the problem? What is the problem of calling a wheelbarrow a 16th century invention?
What would you say? Is there anything that you guys have offered that is able to?
No, I've asked you about the content. I've asked you about the content. What is the problem with calling a wheelbarrow a 16th century invention?
Well, I think what you did was wrong, and I agree with everyone who saying that.
Exactly. You want to run.
Let them finish. Let the caller finish. Okay.
Let me tell you, my brother. You are given a platform. Your platform, ungeenda weke shida zote za vijana, weke hapo. Not saying that this one is bad, this one is good, and you're not offering a solution. That's what you did. That was wrong.
I'll challenge you to go and listen to the entire speech that I made, a 3-minute speech that I made in Bomas. Kindly, Masaki.
And you see now everyone who is calling is also asking you that what you did. Unajua, number one, ukiangalia hata hizi coalition hii watu wanaform. Number one, hii kitu itaanguka asubuhi na mapema. Acha niwaambie kama kuna kitu Jubilee is going to do and ODM. Number one, Jubilee is going to finish ODM completely. That is number one. Number two, UDA is going to stand out strong.
So wewe kwa chama gani?
Wait and see this Kiamba thing. Na mtajua kwamba ground ili shift.
Tutajua ati.
I wish ODM will stand out on their own and say at least tulipotea njia kidogo, wacha sisi tujiondoe kwa hii mrengo ya serikali. But now they're following all, they're joining the burial site for Jubilee, waweke mchanga na pia wenyewe wajimwagie mchanga. That is what is happening.
Haya mheshimiwa, asante.
Sawa. Thank you bwana Kitoto.
Asante sana ndugu yangu, kuwa na siku njema na muendelee kung'ang'ana. Tunataka kuona vijana wengi bunge. Lakini kama mnashagana hivi sijui bunge itakaa aje. Mapema hii. Haya. Asante sana. Bunge la Mwanyechi tukifunga 07798010 07798010. Wacha tusikie Arama. Arama, jambo.
Bwana Gerald.
Pole bwana, watu wengi.
Watu ni wengi, nilikuta nikijiongelesha peke yangu nikaona niko on hold.
Pole, tuambie dadi.
Sawa. So Gerald, first of all, I don't know mahali nilikatiwa or whatever, but I think I'll just quickly go through the thing. Yeah. So quickly, one of the things Gerald may observe, let me just talk about the controversy ambayo ati Njoki alisema Luo. Like I said, the only thing she said is 41 tribes. She alluded to 41 tribes attesting to what Raila Odinga had said during one of his campaigns.
Okay.
Where the people took that to interpret or whatever, that's a different issue. I didn't have to say specifically. Again, either if she said something like that, but that's what I had.
Okay.
We should respect everybody's opinion. Matere, if I say your name correctly, if I'm wrong, please, I apologize. He's expressing his views. So the last person anasema, you cannot, politics is partisan, period. It doesn't matter, it's partisan, that's what politics is. So you speak your side, I speak my side. Whoever sways the voters, then you take the day, and that's the end of it. And then you continue challenging each other. But the only thing is, we need to challenge each other in a respectful way, a non-violent way. Isikue kwamba ukishinda unachukua kwa roho kabisa, unakuja unaanza kuleta vita. Ama ukishinda unaenda unanipigia kifua, unanitukana, unafanya kila kitu, you kick me down, then it becomes a problem. But when you win, I respect you. Do your part. Next time again, I come and I challenge you, and we finish. Now, the other thing that was a little bit a challenge for me, and maybe at some point we may just have to have a one-on-one conversation. I had you offering somebody else, so I'd like to get that chance also. We should challenge our MPs. Kama mtu Mari Matere alisema ati MPs wanakuja kwa funeral wanasema ati debt ceiling nini madeni imezidi na hao ndio wana vote for debt ceiling. We have a right to ask them those questions. Why are they in parliament then? Wakae nyumbani tuweke watu wa nyumba 10 vijiji yuko tumalize hiyo maneno hapo. So that's my quickly, I'm just trying to run through everything quickly. Coalitions. Every Kenyan has a right to associate with whoever they want to associate with. So kama mheshimiwa senator wa Baringo ameona huko Oka imekuwa ngumu akahama pande nyingine, ni sawa, wacha atembe mpaka mahali atachoka. By the way, he comes from a nomadic tribe, so it's in his nature to move around, so don't worry about it. So aya
Hello Arama. Hello? I think I've also lost Arama. Okay. Bunge la Mwanyechi tukielekea kufunga bunge, ndio nipe nafasi ya wangwana kidogo amalize kwa dakika zingine ambazo zinakuja. Bunge la Mwanyechi. Bunge la Mwanyechi, jambo.
Hello.
Jambo, Bunge la Mwanyechi.
Hello.
Nakusikia.
Ni hapa kutoka UK.
Kutoka wapi? UK?
UK, tunasikilanga politics pia.
Sisi ndio naona kumbe mnafuata siasa watu wa United Kingdom.
Tunafuata siasa kabisa.
Naongea nani?
Naambia huyu kijana. Ambia huyu kijana asikue na wasiwasi.
Anaitwa Alex.
Mwambie asikue na wasiwasi. Hii maneno ni polepole.
Okay.
Waache kujipiga kifua. Acha na siasa ya kujipiga kifua.
Okay.
Na sijasikia bali Sandra amesema mambo ya trade, amesema tu one individual.
Okay. Sawa. Asante sana watu wa UK. Haya, Bunge la Mwanyechi.
Good morning, Gerard.
Good morning to you. How are you?
How are you doing?
Salama sana. Naongea nani?
This is Martin.
Martin Kikuyu sasa.
Yeah.
Sama Martin.
So today, let's give credit to due. MATERE has been very articulate today. You might not like him, but just allow him to voice his views.
Okay.
You know, the problem I have with some supporters is craziness, you know. Some people never want to get the logic out of a conversation from somebody just because they don't like him. You might not like somebody, but give him the space to be able to articulate his issues.
Okay.
The issues about the members of parliament. If you remember very clearly, in our constitution, even the CDF was taken to court. It's unconstitutional. It's not supposed to be there.
Thank you.
Because we wanted to ensure that the representatives do not get to manage the development funds, so that they have the role whereby they're supposed to oversight the money.
Yes.
You cannot oversight something if you're going to be corrupt in the second place. You see.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to have the representative doing the legislation, oversighting and representing. You see, representing is whereby you go to your constituency, they say they have this thing and this thing. Because not everybody can go to the national government and say, we have a problem and we need it to be solved. That's why we send a representative to go there to represent us. You see, I have a big problem. Even my biggest problem with VBI was giving money to the county, to the MCAs. Let's avoid giving money to the representatives.
Thank you.
Let's allow people who can be able to manage the funds to manage the funds.
Okay.
Let legislators to do their work.
Yes.
So today the conversation is really nice. I like the way MATERE has expressed his issues, and I think that is, you might not like a person, but allow him to. That's the only way you can be able to learn.
Okay.
If you dismiss everybody every time, you're not going to learn anything just because you don't like them.
All right.
Thank you.
Asante sana Martin Goni wa Kikuyu. Jambo bunga la mwenyechi.
Morning, Gerald.
Good morning to you. Am I speaking to?
This is Muso. How have you been?
Muso mambo.
Poa sana. Sandra.
Yes.
Salimika sana.
Asante sana Mso.
Alex.
Sasa Mso.
Poa sana.
Asante.
I'll go straight to Alex.
Okay. All right, proceed.
Calling the wheelbarrow a 16th century invention is wrong.
Okay.
The wheelbarrow is a 1st century invention.
Fast.
In China, Shandong province of China, in 150 AD, they had wheelbarrows.
Yes.
Can I give you another set of news? Sex was invented before mankind, and we are still doing it today. So, as much as the wheelbarrow is a 16th century invention, sex is a 0th century invention, and we are hammering each other left, right, center.
Sex wasn't an invention, it's a realization.
God figured it out, that if you put this here, things will work.
Yes.
But now, the wheelbarrow we are using today is not from the 16th century. It's from the 12th century, between 1170 and 1250 AD. So do your homework before we get to that point where we will be using facts to, talk to you. But I like the way you argue with confidence, even when you know what you're saying is really not factual. I'll give that to you. Now, I'll go straight to issues. Coalitions. Anybody can come together with anybody to do anything.
Yes.
I mean, you know me, I'm even an LGBTQ person. Whoever can go wherever with whoever.
Yes.
So coalitions, I'm good with it. It's only that I know Raila Odinga is a master juggler in politics, but right now, game yake iko chini kuliko bei ya mask. So where we are, when he starts to want to wear out his legacy by pulling together with Jubilee, a party which is non-existent. It has no affiliation with the people. So I'm thinking you guys just want to bury him, but well, go ahead. Inaitwaje ile msemo ya Kiswahili that says vita vya panzi furaha ya kunguru. Finish them so that people in UDA can have a landslide win. But when we are speaking about Raila Odinga, you were telling us he's a hero of where? Do you remember why Raila Odinga was in detention? He attempted to overthrow a constitutionally instituted office of the president. He didn't even succeed.
Okay.
What are you telling us about his heroism? I do not see it. If he would have succeeded and become like Sevo, different story altogether. But now he failed even in overthrowing Moi, and there was the element of surprise then. I mean, where is his heroism? He did not go to detention for a good thing. Actually, the person who went to detention, I can say, was detained and he was fighting for liberation, was Rubia. Wanyoike wa Rubia. There's a difference between fighting for power and fighting for liberation, young man.
Okay.
I'll give you an example in both old days. Jomo Kenyatta went to the UK and blah, blah, blah to fight for power, while Kimani Wawashiri was in the jungle fighting for liberation.
Okay.
That is the distinct difference between fighting for power and fighting for liberation. So when you tell us about Raila's heroism, I do not see it. The only reason Matiba and Rubia involved him in the fight for the second liberation is because they needed the numbers and they had to work with Jaramogi at that time. These people, young man, please, I love you and I care about these Kieleweke people who were together in Jubilee. Yes. So I would like, when you go out there and you're trying to preach your gospel, go to your Bible and pick facts from there. Something else. When the reason why we have Uhuru in power right now is because none of us would have wanted to see him go get hanged in the ICC, period. It is not because there is anything special we saw in him. Nah. Uhuru's ICC is non-existent in the Kenyan topography. In the Kenyan political topography, he was simply a nobody. Mark Tor had to be fired for him to get a job. No. Look at William Ruto. He had the guts to go and vie against Chesire, Moi's blue-eyed boy. You when you tell me I have no issues with Uhuru, I gave him his 2 terms. That was my promise to him in my heart. My business with him quished 26th of October on his birthday. I had pledged to make sure that huyo mtoto wetu, I'm saying that and I'm thinking, but I thought to myself that no, it is. We would not have wanted him to go there because we know that the situation in 2007 was unpleasant, and we were all keen to make sure that our people don't go there. That's the only reason he is in State House. I'll promise you that for free. Something else I need to say: the only president that we are electing without euphoria, without a situational circumstance, and without duress is Dr. William Samoei Ruto in 2022. Kibaki was euphoria. We were so fed up with Moi, we really wanted somebody else to come in. Moi was chanced. A president died in office and the vice president had to come up. Uhuru was a situation. So the only president that as Kenyans, since the dawn of our independence, since the dawn of this nation, the only president that is going to be a president from the hearts of the people is Dr. William Samoei Ruto. And you can take this to the bank for a holiday in the Bahamas with your favorite yellow. I tell you this for free. Okay. I'm telling you this for free. So let us make that very clear in everything that we do. Lastly, is the issue of BBI. He has an advisor. It is okay for Uhuru to have an opinion in Kenyan politics, but his office does not allow him to participate in it directly. Okay. He knows that. Everybody knows that. So if he had something he wanted to push, he would have been like every other Kikuyu, a chore. Like he gets a few people and he tells them, President, this is yours. Nitawatupia tupesa chini ya maji OP iko na budget kubwa, and nobody would have known, and we would have been like, okay, fine, Raila Odinga has come with another Okoa Kenya, but this time it's called BBI, and then now he's pushing it, and we would have voted it out anyway, but still it would have been legal and constitutional. But this one was so wrong in so many ways. Like he even gazetted it arrogantly, and he even paid those guys, and now we are going to court to tell the court that no, it is a popular initiative. Popular initiative that has a budget from government, how now? Even if I'm such a dimwit or a dandahead in politics, that one I look at it and I'm like, I go there, man. So,
thank you.
We are looking at things detail by detail, and I want you to send this message to your people that we are not just dumb and blind, and that Baba Fadhili cannot go breaking all the rules just because he can. Yes, we care about him and we elected him because we care, but we kept our promise to him 2 terms. So we like give him a send-off package. We move on to the next guy. That he has issues with the next guy is really not our problem or our business.
Hi.
Sandra,
yes,
I have chelewad kidogo, but I was going back and watching the show and looking at you two, and I must say that you had a worthy opponent, and thank you for whooping him.
Thank you so.
Thank you. Asante. Haya, siku njema. Haya, tumefunga bunge. Haya, maoni zenu haraka haraka, respond to calls, alafu tufunge kiosk.
I probably go first from the calls. Thank you so much first for the callers who have made their contributions and probably asked questions or commented on the issues that we've been able to discuss and discern here. One, I want to come in very strongly, especially on the issues of the ranking of members of parliament. And I want to take cue and also echo the sentiments of Martin and also I think of Gitau.
Yeah.
CDF as constituted is actually unconstitutional.
Okay.
And it's important for us as a country to start accepting that the roles of a member of parliament are three: the core mandate, representation, oversight, and legislation.
Okay.
That should be the yardstick for measuring the performance of members of parliament. Mm-hmm. It should be about how many bills, how many motions they have been able to bring to parliament. It's about the issues. If you're talking about the debt ceiling, if you're talking about issues of corruption, if you're talking about performance of the government, what are the members of parliament oversighting the executive? It's about representation. What are the people saying? What are the challenges that people are facing? Are they coming to the plenary sessions of parliament so that they can be addressed by government? That should be the core mandate of members of parliament. Issues of development, the way I've said, should be relegated back to the community. And that's why even the CDF, in the act itself, it's about the constituents electing members who sit on the CDF committee, who represent their aspirations and their vision for that particular constituency. Okay. That said, there's also a quagmire and a conundrum that we as Kenyans have actually been wallowing in for quite some time, that we've given too much premium in politics. Even the morning show, half of it, I think 100%, if not whole, it has always been about politics. We have rarely discussed about issues of the economy. And if you realize, as a young person, one of the issues that really affects the young people of this country is unemployment. Yeah. Two is the issue of education. Politics, which falls under representation, which rather falls under politics, come in as number three. So can we reboot and start ruminating on these issues and start talking about issues of the economy? How is our economy benefiting from politics? For some time, a long time, I think since independence, our politics has always been serving the economy, which basically we lose we lose the trajectory of development when we lose focus in ensuring that the politics should actually be serving the economy rather than the other way around. That said, there's also a caller who indicated on issues of whatever was discussed in Bomas. Yeah. And for the 18th time, I want to bring this into focus. Criticism is part and parcel of democracy. It is not a must for us to actually be sharing the same perspective, the same vision. Democracy is about everyone having their own opinion and being given a platform where they can air out their opinions. What I find to be foolhardy and troubling with mostly members and of UDA party and all affiliates parties that support the hustler narrative, is that they are not accommodative. That if you contradict them in terms of the vision, or if you want to present a totally different canvas, they have a problem with that. They see you as an opponent, they see you as an aggressor, they see you as someone not befitting that particular platform. And that is not where this country wants to go. As young people, I think we should learn from the forefathers and the founding fathers of this particular country. Let us have divergent views. It does not mean that we are enemies, but we can sit down. You can look at a cup, probably you look at a glass and you think it's half full. Another person will look at it and say it's half empty. Okay. But at least as a country, we can be able to agree on something that will enable us move forward. So I think you've been brilliant. I like your historical perspective. Very nice, very articulative, very good, very informed. But move away from Machiavellianism. It is not about always the end justifying the means. The process is also very important. How do we get there? It's not just about getting to the presidency. Yes, anyone else can get to the presidency. But what is the vision that you have for the people? What is the agenda that you have once you get to that particular presidency? We have all the presidential candidates. Everyone is talking about issues of unemployment. But if you ask them, how are we going to tackle unemployment? UDA guy will come up and talk about bottom-up approach. You ask him how will the bottom up approach ensure that Kenya does not continue wallowing in the miasma of unemployment, where we have our unemployment rate being more than that one of Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi combined. How are we going to ensure that the young people can wake up in the morning and get a place where they can get gainful income, so that they can also be able to feed their families and also meet their basic needs? I think that is a discussion that we need to have as a country. Where are we going to ensure, or rather, which policies are we going to put in place so that we can ensure that even the young people who are craving for education, they can get quality education, so that they can also be competitive, not just in Kenya, but also in the global market? These are some of the issues that as Kenyans, we actually need to focus on. Let it not just be about electing leaders. About coalitions, definitely, that time will come. But I've said, it is not just about the big parties. Let also the small parties have a say. And even in our presentation, most people actually criticize BBI without reading the particular document and what it talks about. Issues of economy. It proposes like, let us now move our economy from an extractive one to a productive one. A productive one is now what the kind of things that are happening in Mount Kenya. How can we be able to revamp our coffee and tea industry? Yeah. For us, Bitok, we come from Rift Valley. How are we going to revamp our maize industry to just ensure that that maize farmer down there can actually get the best prices for the produce that they continue to supply to the market? That is what troubles the common mwananchi as we speak. Secondly, thirdly, there was a question about Mwangi, actually from Nyeri, talked about issues of the young people and basically about to do with appointments in government and what have you. And as young people, we have actually been complaining so much. We have been making noises. And one thing that I've been advocating for, as young people, can we move away from making noises to making voices? The only way our voice can be heard and not our noise should be like we are heckling in rallies and what have you, is for us to consolidate, to come together and decide that this candidate is the best for the young people. For instance, now, Bitok, the current parliament, the way it is. Members of parliament who are below the age of 35 are barely 20. And yet we say that in terms of the numbers of voters, youth constitute almost 75%. Okay. Why is it the case? Can we ensure that the young people, if you are saying that we want to be part and parcel of governance and the governance structure, can we ensure that we vote in more MCAs? Can we ensure that we vote in more MPs? Can we ensure we vote in more MPs, more senators, more governors, more youthful-minded political actors at the national level, so that even that the challenges and the perspective of the youth can actually be cemented at the national platform, so that we can tackle some of these issues that we are talking about? Definitely, what I expect from the kind of political trajectory that you are facing now, if you look at the political topography, the guys who are key players, Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, who else is there? Gideon Moi, definitely, though he has really been bashed. These guys have been in existence in the political field for how many years? More than 20. Others have 30 years career in the political scene. We as young people, we need to ask ourselves, when is our time coming? I would be very glad to see my sister Sandra at the helm, at the apex of the political decision making in terms of the governance structure of this particular country. But how are we going to get there if we do not support each other at this particular level? And therefore, I advocate that in 2022, what I'm seeing as a political scientist is that let it be a transitional year. Okay. Let it be a transitional, so that all these guys who have been in the political field for 20, 30 years, let them transit. Raila Amolo Odinga, who was there all this time, I've sat with him, I've had sessions with him, we have shared, we normally talk. He has been there. He can give you the history before independence, post-independence, multipartyism, post-multipartyism, even post-grand coalition government, and even the political trajectory that we are talking about now. Uhuru has been there. Musalia Mudavadi has been there. Can we have a transition now, that we can have now a younger generation taking up power to address the kind of challenges that we have? Okay. And for me, I think it's a ticking time bomb that if we are not able, and I think government has realized that, sometimes it's good to criticize, but it's also good to call a spade a spade. Okay. And if someone deserves credit, give that credit to him. Give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Okay. President Uhuru Kenyatta has been very instrumental in ensuring that he champions for the issues and programs that befit and benefit the young people of this country. Even in his speeches that you've heard, he has been very categorical in ensuring that he focuses on the young people. And one of the cliches that I like from him is about transiting and moving the young people from earners of wages into owners of capital. How are we going to do that? If we fail to do that, history has it. You see what is happening across the world. Yeah. You've seen today in the morning they are saying the king of Swati has actually fled the country because of the bulge of the young people. Young people are complaining. They are saying we don't have jobs. Yeah. We cannot actually have quality education. We cannot fend for our family, for our young families. These are the issues that are there. Nigeria, you've seen, where the SARS came in, it was about police brutality, but also the grievances that affect the young people was also part and parcel of the issues that actually sparked whatever happened in Nigeria. You've seen in Chile, basically by increasing the fares, secondary high school students were able to demonstrate, and they were joined in by other young people who feel disenfranchised by the government, and they came up and revolt. So for us as a country, I think we are on a learning curve, and it's important for us to ensure that if the youth constitute 75% of this country, then let their affairs be at the center stage. Okay. One thing I believe, Bitok, as I close, it is not the responsibility of a young person to look for employment. Okay. It is the responsibility of government to ensure that young people have employment. Okay. If you do not want to get employment, then can there be conducive environment for entrepreneurs who are mostly young people to come up? And that's why in the BBI document, we came up and we said, if government can give employment, that is one. Issues of experience. You go, a graduate now applies for a job. He's told at the entry level, probably you need 5 years experience. Where will he get that experience? Even if getting simple things like attachments becomes an issue. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we should have policies, we should have programs that focus on the emancipation of the young people from the doldrums of unemployment, from poverty, and also the poverty of dignity is actually different from the poverty of resources. And that is what we should be focusing on as we go forward. Okay, asante sana Alex. Sandra?
In responding to the callers, I think for me, the flick was heavily on Alex, so I probably have not as much to defend myself as Alex has.
I wasn't defending myself. I was explaining myself.
Okay, may I continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
so as Alex was defending himself, and gallantly so, but I think Mso has also commended him, because she said she was very impressed by the fact that he can be confidently firm even when he knows what he's saying is not the correct thing. The only issue I had from the callers was the accusation that I inferred to Raila Amolo Odinga as a Luo in my commentary about him. And that was, of course, spurred initially by Alex, and then it was confirmed by one caller called Gitau. But I thank God, because we have two callers who called in. One, what was it? Arama. Arama. And another watu wa UK, they have confirmed and they have vindicated me that I never used or referred to Raila's Luo ethnicity in my commentary. Okay. And what that tells me is that, as I had said before, we have a problem. And unfortunately, the BBI will not be able to solve that ethnic issue if we have youth like the caller Gitau and Alex here, who is a youth leader for that matter, who will immediately jump to a conclusion that when I talk about Gerald Bitok, then I'm talking about Gerald the Kalenjin. If I talk about Raila, then my issue is with Raila the Luo. We honestly need to move away from that and grow up from that. Okay. I have issues with Raila Amolo Odinga, the politician and the individual. And I think it is important that that is put on record. Okay. The other issue that came up very strongly on the phone from the phone calls was the issue of the 16th century comment that was made at Bomas by Alex. Humility and like one particular caller said, You learn from people. You
Gerard,
listen.
I think we are losing focus. When you invited me here, the issues that were discussed in Bomas were not part and parcel of what we were supposed to discuss on
callers.
Responding to calls.
So I think
let's move
there is no need for us.
Let's avoid
if they want, yes, exactly. It does not make sense. And if someone feels that they have to give a rejoinder, they can call for another Bomas. We can go there, observe Ministry of Health protocols, and we can have a platform where we can be able to debate about the 16th century inventions.
Okay, Sandra, please.
So going back to the callers and their issue on the 16th century comment and Alex's rejoinder, where he said that people must know the difference between criticism. And I totally agree that it is important to know the difference between being a critic, where you're criticizing an issue, and where you're being openly obnoxious or spiteful about an issue. And that is what the callers were trying to bring out.
Okay. You cannot speak on behalf of the callers. Limit yourself to the issues.
The callers are, you see now those kind of heckling things, me, I can't.
Okay.
So what the callers were saying was that, yes, you can want to criticize the fact that UDA or the Hustler Nation has picked the wheelbarrow as our symbol. Now, again, the Constitution has given us the right opinion and the right of expression. We have chosen the wheelbarrow, and we are going to stay with the wheelbarrow, whether it is a 16th century invention or not. But the wheelbarrow, we must understand, is supposed to be symbolic. And it's symbolizing that the Hustler Nation is anchored on elevating the kawaida mwananchi and wanting to push or help the kawaida mwananchi move from that level of doing manual work and manual labor that involves the wheelbarrow, and to be able to give them hope that one day you will be using a tractor to do your movement of heavy loads. Okay, it is symbolic, and it's also symbolic to our mantra of the bottom up economy. That we are starting from the bottom. We are focusing on people at the bottom. Okay, and the bottom up module is the same thing that even the president of the USA today is pushing for. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing that cannot be done. Okay, but what the callers and I, as Sandra, I may speak on my behalf if Alex grants me that permission, aside from the Constitution granting me that permission. What he said at Bomas, everything you do has a reaction. Your action has a reaction. He made his action of speaking. He should allow the people of Kenya, and he should expect the people of Kenya to have a reaction. And the people of Kenya are made up of the Hustler
Nation. Whatever was presented in Bomas
and the reaction from us is that we are happy with our symbol, and we shall continue with our symbol, and our symbol represents our bottom-up module of our economic module that we are proposing.
Haya, tunafunga.
My last thing is on the BBI. And one of the things that most of the callers were talking about, were criticizing about the BBI and had an issue with, was the issue of the youth. For one, they pointed out about the youth promises in the BBI document. And I had mentioned that earlier. And the reason why most youth and the Kenyan people are not buying into a lot of issues that are in that BBI document, especially when touching on the issue of the Youth Commission, is because the president himself, it's good when he says, he's constantly saying, I will do this for the youth. The youth is the architect of this country. The youth, blah, 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 the future. But when it comes to actions, he's not walking the talk. Then of course, Kenyans are going to doubt the authenticity and the genuinity of what is put in the BBI document with regards to the youth and even issues of the economy. Okay. Now, in his defense, Alex talked about the economy, and he said something critical. He said it's a responsibility of the government to provide employment to the youth and to the people of Kenya, which I totally agree. Now, does he know, for example, that the affordable housing project was never about just building houses? The affordable housing project was about creating jobs. And it was based on the affordable housing project and the SGR that the Jubilee manifesto promised the 500,000 jobs. Are you aware? It's very important that when you follow a certain movement or you follow a certain political side or affiliation, get to understand what they stand for. Very many people were into Jubilee for the euphoria. But you need to have understood their manifesto. And one of the promises in the manifesto was the employment factor. And those two projects were going to create jobs. The artisans who are going to build the jobs, the houses, the architects who are going to do the planning, draw up the plans, the auxiliary services that were going to come up, including talking about Mama Ntilie, who was going to serve or cook beans for the workers in the sites and provide and get herself a daily income. And the tenders that were supposed to go to the young men to supply, whether it was the windows or to supply,
Has that happened?
It has not happened. And that is one of the things that has robbed Jubilee of being able to fulfill the employment factor. Okay? So when he talks about employment as a role of the responsibility of the government, he is in effect subconsciously criticizing and agreeing with what we have been saying about this government. He also talked about in the same employment issue, there's the issue of SGR. Again, if he had interrogated the Jubilee manifesto properly, he would have known that the SGR was supposed to spur industrialization. C.S. Macharia himself told us that it would spur industrialization and it was going to have a 1.4% positive impact on the GDP. Instead, today, the SGR is hemorrhaging our treasury. Why? Because when you want to spur industrialization, the word is spur. There are elements that you have to put in place. There are things that you have to do, which this government has not done. That railway line was supposed to do what the old railway line did during the colonial period. It was supposed to create industries and towns and mostly industries along the counties it hits through. It was not supposed to be used like Tommy Choo Choo train to just deliver cargo from Mombasa and Nairobi and to deliver passengers. So yes, that it is the role of the government to provide employment opportunities, and this government has failed. And that is why the people of Kenya are calling in and they are saying, and that is why the people of Kenya, yes, it will be bottom up. You watch and see how Dr. Ruto is going to bring it out. You see? That is why the people of Kenya are calling and they are saying that they will not believe anything in the BBI because all that is in the BBI was in the Jubilee manifesto. It has not been delivered. It will not be delivered now.
Hiya. Thank you guys for coming in. Asante sana Sandra, asante sana Alex MATERE for coming in. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the guys as well who have been joining us on YouTube and Facebook. It's been a pleasure having you. This is a Tackle State of the Nation edition and it ends now. Bye-bye.